Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to your TWitWoW monthly Q&A. It is the 46th already TWitWoW monthly Q&A. It's kind of mind-blowing to me how many of these we've done already. I mean, if you figure we answer an average of 50 questions for Q&A, that means that we have now answered over 2,000 questions. It's 2250, and now today we're adding another 51 to the mix because that's how many we've got for this month. So after today, we will have answered very likely over 2,300 questions between these 46 Q&As. That's kind of mind-blowing as far as I'm concerned. That being said, though, John, we have 51 questions. I just want to know how you're feeling about these today.
I'm feeling great, man. Everything's fucking great. Let's dive into these questions and all learn more about each other.
All right, first set of questions from Hypothesis. First question is actually just for me. If Pokemon Diamond and Pearl remakes came to the Switch, what changes would you like to see made from the originals? Well, it's actually kind of interesting because I fucking love Diamond and Pearl. I don't think I ever got around to playing Platinum because that was like around the time that like Platinum and then Black and White came out was kind of the time that I was fading out of my Pokemon like hardcore fandom. And obviously, you know, in recent years, I've made a bit more of a comeback, but I'm still not like as hardcore as I was through the first 4 gens. That said, as far as changes, I don't really know. I feel like if we're just talking like how to make the games more difficult, I would say save Starly and Shinx and maybe even Badoo for a little bit later in the game. Like maybe they come at like high single digits after you've gotten the second badge, just because having those 3 powerhouses before you even get to your like 3rd town and before you even challenge for your first gym battle, it just kind of makes the game a little bit too easy maybe. I would also say just do something to make the snow route a little bit more appealing, a little bit less sort of tedious to get through. Because I very distinctly remember the route. I don't remember the name of the actual city, but the snow route in Diamond and Pearl were just a fucking slog to get through, and the swamp too. The swamp route to get to, I think Crasher Wake's gym is miserable to get through as well. So really, I would just say make those 2 routes a little bit less miserable to get through and make some of the amazing like powerhouse type Pokemon a little bit more difficult to get. Those would really be the only changes that I can think of. If we're talking like fundamental changes, give Turtwig a better typing to make it more viable, because like Grass and Ground is a nice offensive typing, but it doesn't fucking matter because it's too goddamn slow and it can't take a hit because it has so many weaknesses. That's really not really like a realistic change though. So we'll just stick with the other 2 and we'll move on. And yeah, it was Snow Point City. That was the one that had the crazy, obnoxious, snow-covered route. Yeah, I hated that shit. Let's move on though. Second question from Hypothesis is just for you, John.
Yay.
Do you think Kyrie Mania not happening turned out to be a blessing in disguise given the state of WrestleMania 36?
I do. I absolutely do. I think a person and a performer of Kyrie's caliber and character deserves an audience for special moments. And really, she just deserves special treatment. There was no feasible way Kyrie Mania was going to happen with her booking and everything. But even if we just take Kyrie Mania at bare minimum to mean like Kyrie competing at WrestleMania,
yeah,
I'm actually happy it happened this way because, I mean, she lost the match. And she was still proud of it because she tweeted later to her deceased friend that she made a promise to before coming to America that she was going to make things happen in WWE, that I hope I made you proud because I competed at WrestleMania as a champion. So, you know, I think Kyrie's perspective is the one we need to adhere to here. But for me as a fan, yeah, I'm glad it happened the way it did. And if for whatever reason she stays with the company, I would hope that next year, and they may still have to hold the WrestleMania in the Performance Center next year, but if they don't, that next year she gets a higher build matchup in front of a lot of people that can really see what she's all about. So we'll see.
All right. Third and final question from Hypothesis is for both of us, so he kept it perfectly balanced, as all things should be. If you could make your own movie, what wrestler would you have in your cast?
I'd have Swerve in my movie because he just drips cool. You know what I'm saying? The shades, the swagger. Like, yes, Swerve would be in my movie. What about you, man? Who would you cast?
I really, if I'm just going by who I think is the best actor among wrestlers, Zelina Vega for me by miles.
Oh yeah, I know you've been very high on her work for a long time.
She's so good, yeah. It's a
Yeah.
pretty easy call for me with her, yeah. She's just really stood out to me with her acting ability over the last few months. She's exceptional for sure. So I'd go with Zelina.
Absolutely.
Next up, let me scroll up a little bit here. Brandon Best had 3 questions. First up, and these are all for both of us, by the way, John. First up, what is one WWE match that you think is great but goes underappreciated? And his that he mentioned was Kurt Angle versus The Undertaker from No Way Out in 2006.
That's a great pick. That's a great pick. A great match that gets underappreciated. This is a bit of a harder one for me. Yeah. I would almost see, because I feel like the passage of time would make matches that were like once all the rage, like then maybe they get underappreciated just because of losing their novelty, so to speak. So I would say, Shawn Michaels versus John Cena, the match that they had in England, was really good. I think it went to like 60 minutes and Shawn Michaels won in like a nail biter. But I think a lot of people still focus on their WrestleMania match not being so good. But I feel like that was a fantastic match that they did. What about you, Bud? Any matches that you think of that are like great but maybe underappreciated by some?
I'm actually... I'm kind of on the exact opposite side of the coin with a lot of people on this. I think Triple H versus Scott Steiner from Royal Rumble, I think it was 2003, was actually a really good match. Like, we've watched it recently, and if you just look at it from the angle of Scott Steiner trying to wrestle Triple H strong style, it's legitimately a really good match.
Yeah, like, because he was just overpowered at every turn.
Well, yeah, that and, like, the strikes that he was throwing looked really legit. The suplexes looked pretty good. Like, yeah, I thought that was a really legitimately good match. At least with hindsight, again, I think that might have been almost like a victim of time and a victim of space, even, because if that match would have happened, that exact same match with those guys at the same age, if that would have happened today, I feel like people would have been talking about how great it was. It was like, holy shit, strong style in WWE, this is so cool. But that was happening at a time that New Japan wasn't really all that popular. It was like, that was during the fucking Inoki era, the Inokiism era. And it really wasn't cool to watch New Japan and stuff like that. But nowadays, when New Japan is really kind of all the rage in the wrestling community, I think that if that exact same match happened with those guys at the age that they were when they had it, I think that it would be all the rage. I think a lot more people would be into it. So yeah, that would be my pick.
Yeah, I mean, I also think about matches like Stone Cold versus Kurt Angle for the WWF title and SummerSlam 2001. I think that match gets overlooked by people because that was during Austin's heel era, which I think a lot of people prefer to forget because it's fucking Stone Cold. Yeah. And Angle was working babyface too, which I think at the time was weird for people. But that was a genuinely great match. I thought it told an interesting enough story. Yeah, so those would be my 2 answers. Shawn Michaels, John Cena from the UK, and Kurt Angle, Stone Cold 2001 from SummerSlam just come to my mind.
Nice.
And, yeah.
All right, second question from Brandon. What would have happened if the NWO just never stopped adding members?
Oh God!
I want your answer on this first.
I think if it never stopped adding members, then logically it would be the first faction that was also entirely like a promotion, because the entire promotion's in the faction.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. Literally, just it like the original thing with the NWO was that it was supposed to be like this invading force trying to take over and destroy WCW. So in the world where they just kept adding members and they just kept adding members, it would get to a point where they started adding people before they were even properly trained. They started training people. At a certain point, they just become their own promotion.
Yeah. That'd be wild, man. Jesus Christ.
Then you would legitimately have the WCW promotion and the NWO promotion separately. One of them could run like Thursday night, so instead of WCW Thunder, you get NWO Lightning or some crazy shit like that. You would still have Nitro on Mondays, or if NWO was a bigger draw, you could put them on Mondays. That could have been nuts.
Dude, if they had bottomless funds, that would have happened. There would have been a meeting at like TNT, and they would have been like, you know, NWO is so big. Why don't we create an offshoot promotion that's just NWO booking NWO guys? And they would have done it. I am 100% convinced that they would have done it. So great question there, Brandon. Next question.
All right, next question. Third and final question here from Brandon Best. Was Mick Foley's "Have a nice day" catchphrase meant to be ironic, given what he'd do to himself in matches?
I never used to look at it as ironic, Brandon, but you actually raise a good point there, because given his masochism as well as his sadism with personalities like Cactus Jack, it almost seems to have like an eerie undercurrent, like, oh, have a nice day until I fucking see you again with Barbie.
Yeah. That's kind of how I always interpreted it, actually. It was like almost like a fuck you, like, oh yeah, have a nice day. It's kind of like the Christian version of I'll pray for you.
Yeah. You really gave me something to chew on there, Brandon. I appreciate it. But say that wraps up his questions. Next set of questions.
Next set of questions is from Noob & Co. on Twitter. And I think he's actually in here in chat too. I think he said, hey, what's up, John and Ashton, earlier. First question from Noob & Co. And these, again, are all three for both of us, John. First up, who will be the first major, I'm assuming, feud for Shayna Baszler post-Mania?
Ooh. Well,
we can't say Sarah Logan because she got released. Shit, man.
Yeah. I
have an idea.
Okay, you go first if you have an idea.
Liv Morgan. They're building her up. She just beat Ruby Riott 2 times in a row. She might be Shayna next in Shayna's sort of crosshairs.
Yeah, depending on if Shayna wins the briefcase or not, which we're going to be doing preview predictions next week. So I was going to say, I'm going to save my remarks for that because we're doing preview predictions next week. Yeah. I do like Liv as an idea. Maybe God, and see, I hate these crowdless shows because Asuka's always waiting in the wings to do an actual program together.
Actually, Asuka's probably a more viable option than even Liv, because it seems like Asuka has been more calling out Shayna and Nia. So depending on who you think is going to win Money in the Bank, you would expect the winner of Money in the Bank to go on to feud with Becky, and out of those two women, whoever doesn't win Money in the Bank probably to feud with Asuka.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Asuka for Shayna. So you said Liv, I say Asuka, especially because apparently she's been an MVP of these shows, like to the upper echelon. I mean,
Liv.
Asuka,
yeah. I totally, she definitely is.
Yeah, so like I could see them employing her in that kind of spot. Like, hey, you know, Shayna needs a heater, like just somebody to make her actions really come off looking good and stuff like that. Nobody better than Asuka, right? Yes. So yeah, Asuka will be my pick.
All right, second question from Noob & Co. Who will Killer Cross feud with first in NXT? Ciampa, right?
Yeah, Ciampa seems to be the answer, Noob & Co. after the attack. Yeah. Unless they're going to write Ciampa off TV and fucking carrying Cross. Yeah, maybe. Power's like up and down. And then NXT's going to have, because I know that a lot of stuff was like pre-taped and stuff up to like July 8th, but apparently the pre-tapes that we're going to see for the beginning of May happened yesterday. They filmed it yesterday. Oh. So that's actually very interesting given, you know, things going on in the NXT landscape at present. So I don't know how things are going to respond. I'm even wondering if they don't want to race Karrion Kross to the NXT championship, how soon it'll be before him and Keith Lee cross paths. And Keith Lee had a fire fucking night last night. But I think most immediately, Ciampa. Ciampa's the first feud without a doubt.
Yeah. All right. Third and final question from Noob & Co. Which WWE superstars would you want to be a guest on Kana-chan TV?
Definitely Kairi. I'd love some Kabuki Warrior stuff.
Yeah, I was going to say, to me, the fact that Kairi hasn't ever been on there just tells me that there are never going to be any WWE superstars on that show.
Yeah.
Because to me, like, you almost have to go out of your way if you're Asuka, if you're Kana, whatever you want to call her, to keep Kairi out of your videos, given how much they seemingly hang out outside of WWE even. You know what I mean? Like,
right, yeah.
They seem pretty tight even outside of, you know, the context of actually in, you know, wrestling. And she's never been in a Kana-chan TV episode. Like, the only other wrestler that I can think of that's ever been on an episode of Kana-chan TV is the dude with the fucking mask, whose name is just slipping my mind right now.
Oh, yeah, I know who you're talking about. The name is escaping me, too, but I know who you're talking about. I mean, Becky would be cool only because of how big their rivalry has gotten. Yeah, those are the only two that really come to mind, though. I don't want to, like, keep umming and searching for names. I'm just going to say Kairi and Becky for me.
Yeah, I can't think of it either. I'm sure someone in chat will say it. Next up, though, we had two questions from Stella J. First up for both of us. So if we're going to have to endure 4 more orange years, who steps up in 2024?
First of all, great to hear from you again, Stella. It's been a long time since we've answered questions from her. Hope you're doing well.
Yes.
Always good to hear from you. You're wonderful. I don't. Is AOC eligible in 2024? I keep forgetting.
She is.
Then I'm just gonna fucking say her. I'm just gonna keep it succinct. AOC. You?
Fuck, man. I think. I think a lot of it depends on who Biden picks for VP. Because if Biden picks like a Stacey Abrams or a Kamala Harris, oh God, if it's Kamala, fucking hell. But whoever he picks, I've got to imagine if he doesn't win in November, and frankly, I think he's going to, but regardless, whoever he picks, I think is going to be the favorite to win in 2024. Because even if Biden does win in November this year, I don't think he's a 2-term president. I think that he would likely step down after 1 term due to his age, and obviously plenty of people are pointing out his oncoming fucking dementia. So I'm guessing whoever he picks as his VP is the most likely candidate, and odds, like Vegas betting odds, are saying that it's going to be Kamala Harris. The people that I watch, which is Rising on the Hill, have been saying for a while that it's going to be Stacey Abrams. Another possibility would be Elizabeth Warren. I think Elizabeth Warren might, even if a Biden VP runs and it's not Liz, I think Elizabeth Warren might be the only other Democrat other than Biden's VP that would have a shot in 2024. I don't think AOC is even going to run in 2024, to be honest. So yeah, I'm going to say, I really don't think. No, you know what? I'm going to say one of those 3 women: Liz Warren, Kamala Harris, or Stacey Abrams. One of those 3 is most likely the 2024 nominee.
Great choices. Next question.
Second question from Stella is just for you, John. And she wants to know, how the hell is Kyrie so strong? The wrestling business, especially WWE, is such a cruel place, yet here she is constantly being positive.
You know, I actually want to answer this question more seriously. I know everybody's probably expecting Goodfellow to jump out. It kind of astounds me, too, in the best way, because, you know, you read about Kyrie's early life, and she had interest in, like, acting and yachting and all that stuff. But either her parents were freaking stellar, and if so, I'm just going to presume that we, you know, stand Kyrie's parents in this household. Or I don't know. Maybe she just has very, like, pronounced empathic responses to the world around her. I don't know. But it's really amazing, because even when she had that small pocket at Full Sail, when we still allowed crowds at wrestling events, chanting Pearl Harbor at her, and she responds with a picture of a globe with everybody from every walk of life kind of standing atop it hand in hand and still promoting love. I mean, Kyrie, on a very serious level, you love to see it. Mm-hmm. I have to imagine she's prone to anger. I mean, we know she's prone to sadness. I had to see her, like, despairing at TLC, which tore my fucking life apart. You have to imagine she's prone to anger like anybody else. She is only human. I don't want to deify her by any means on here. But the very idea that she's human makes it all the more impressive. I can't tell you guys, when I even go to the kitchen to make a meal and I trip over, like, this rug that we have down there, I'll curse out the rug, an inanimate object. And Kyrie shows more tenderness to everything around her than I even show some inanimate objects. It's really something. And that's, I think, one reason why I wouldn't be mad about her leaving if she chooses to leave. Because I've seen WWE, you know, people say they killed my passion, my fire was dimming. I would never want Kyrie to think, you know, they tainted my goodness because I worked with people maybe that didn't deserve it or something. I always want Kyrie to be Kyrie, and it's an extraordinary thing. Really is.
It's beautiful, man. It's beautiful.
Not as beautiful as your face.
I disagree. I think it's more beautiful than my face.
Next question.
We've got 5 from Super Blue. First up is Americans owning guns the reason why the United States haven't been invaded? And if not, what is?
Um, I would say yes to a point, but not the Americans you're thinking.
Yeah, I was gonna
We're
say
the
not the
we're the
usual
military
normal
industrial.
people.
Yeah, like we call it the military industrial complex for a reason. We put so much of our budget into military, because forget schools and hospitals and all those other things; those aren't important. But yeah, I mean, we have the sleekest bombs and we have the biggest guns, so you better not fuck with America.
Yeah.
And that's why we'll never be invaded until we're so economically crippled that everybody's like, wait, the defenses are down, charge. But yeah, I think it really is just because of the military-industrial complex, and really because, and honestly, this is the second layer to my answer. I think when you're living in an age such as ours, the 21st century, and it's kind of like a techno civilization kind of thing, there are more sophisticated tactics than brute invasion. And I think we will see that from countries in the coming decades. I wouldn't even be surprised if in the next decade you saw more of it after a pandemic, probably another economic depression, etc. I don't think you'll ever see invasion in the classical sense of like they're storming our beaches. You know what I mean? I think it'll always be more cyber based, economically based stuff like that. So that's my like twofold answer. One, the military industrial complex, and two, even in spite of that, I think there are more sophisticated modes of invasion, insurgents, disruption, etc., than just brute force as we've seen historically. So, what about you, Ashton? What do you have to add to this?
Yeah, I mean, I want to say it was Jim Jeffries that said something along the lines of the United States spends 4 or 10 or some crazy number times as much on their military as the second most spending country in the world. And at the same time, something crazy like 22 of the top 25 highest spending countries on their military are allies of the US. So we're just bulking up our military to defend from like 2 or 3 countries that aren't really even a threat at all.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's really what it is. It's just overcompensation. It's like paranoia, I think, is really what the answer is. The United States is so fucking paranoid, and greed, paranoia and greed, because the greed comes from, I know we don't have to produce all of this, war. What's the word here, John? War. I don't want to just say war shit, but you get the idea.
Weaponry. Fuck.
Just forget about it. Just
okay. Yeah.
We don't have to put this much money into military, but we do because money. Like, we literally, it's just the greed of, as John mentioned earlier, the military industrial complex. Like, there's money to be made in it, and there's also money to be made in going to war, and there's money to be made in invading other countries, and there's money to be made in stealing other countries' oil and overturning other countries' governments, etc., etc., etc. And so the US military is as bloated as it is, not because we need to defend ourselves from some other country invading us, but because we like to invade other places.
Precisely. Yeah. Next question.
Next question. Second question from Super Blue. Why does the government bring in sign language translators for state emergencies on TV, but never for anything else? That's a genuinely good question, to the point that I honestly don't even know a good answer. Like, I honestly have no clue why they would not use, I guess it's literally just like lack of visibility, like lack of caring. It's, like if it's an emergency, they consider it a big enough deal that even blind people should know about it, but anything else, who gives a shit as far as the government's concerned?
I kind of am with, I want to be very careful here because I am a member of the disability community, but my disability isn't deafness. It's cerebral palsy, so it's different. So I don't want to like overreach here. I just think it's part of a culture where, because we live in kind of a hyper individualist society, you got to figure your own way around things, even if society is gravely inaccessible. And I'll see this a lot where people will get mad at my disabled friends because they don't understand something, especially in COVID. Like I've been hearing stories about how people in like homes and facilities, they'll be recipients of anger because, oh, you're not advising social distancing or any of that stuff. But like, it's not being communicated to them in a way that they can apprehend it. You know what I mean? So you can't act on what you don't know. Yeah, comprehend it. Yeah. Like, yeah, it's simply just that matter. And the onus is always on them again, because it's like, well, you know, you can figure it out. You're your own individual kind of thing. And I just think it's always like the deeply ableist attitude of like, we just simply don't matter. Like, I mean, yeah, I'm even amazed that, you know, they do that in national emergencies and stuff because, and I've seen stories about how like with hurricanes and tornadoes and like natural disasters, disability is always like the one thing that they're never adequately prepared for to deal with. You know, how do we extract them and get them to safe zones and stuff like that? Yep. Our lives, just on a national level, not to pull a Kanye here when he once said in front of Mike Myers, George Bush doesn't like black people. And Mike Myers was like, wait, what the fuck?
He didn't say like, he said care. He said George Bush doesn't care about black people, didn't he?
Yeah, I think he did. I think you're right about that. George Bush doesn't care about black people, which just as bad and maybe even in some ways even worse. But yeah, I would say the same thing. Like, I don't think this country on a national level really cares about disabled people, and I would just consider the national apathy to just be a reason why. But again, that's just my opinion, both as a member of the disabled community, but not deaf per se. So that's all I'm going to really say about that. And if you want to move on to our next question, we can.
Third question from Super Blue. If New Japan doesn't have any shows by June because of COVID, do you think their champions will be stripped of their titles?
I'm going to say no.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say no.
You did bring up Moxley and how Moxley was stripped because of the typhoon, but I really don't think that they're going to apply that same logic to this, because this would be everyone. And at that point, like, what's the point of literally just having every single title up for grabs? That just seems silly to me.
Exactly. Like, I understand a clean slate, but you want to hit the ground running, and you already have champions. That's how you hit the ground running. If you have to reestablish a new hierarchy, like, that takes so much time. That's pointless.
Like, to me, this is a universal thing. This isn't something that selectively only affects, you know, one or two people like the Typhoon did for Moxley. This is a universal thing that's not only affecting everyone in New Japan, it's affecting everyone in the world. There is not, well, I shouldn't say there's not. There should not be a single wrestling company running right now. Unfortunately, there are a few, but there shouldn't be. But at the end of the day, you know, responsible wrestling companies aren't running right now, and that's global. That's not just in Japan. That's not just New Japan. So I don't think that there is any chance whatsoever of New Japan stripping anyone because of this. Unless, this is a big one, somebody like a Moxley would happen to be unable to make it to Japan when New Japan has their first show back. In that case, I could see them stripping him again, because of the fact that airlines and air travel is going to be shut down for so much longer than I expect the country of Japan to stay locked down.
Yeah. Yeah.
So absolutely. I think that in very, very few cases, and really in this case, really only Moxley, I could see them stripping him again. Oh my God. Seriously? Sorry. But I don't think they're going to strip everybody. So...
Yeah.
What are you booing for? I'm talking about them stripping Moxley. Why are you not happy about that? I know. The fourth question from Super Blue. Cut a promo on Ronda Rousey's WWE career and how she basically left the women's division a barren wasteland. So wait a minute. You want us to cut a promo on Ronda Rousey and coming in and doing exactly what we said she would do?
Yeah, fam, I ain't even mad. And honestly, giving her
I'm not even mad at her. I'm mad at WWE for falling for it.
Yeah, like, you knew what you were getting, and honestly, there's no need to cut a promo because reality is better than fantasy. She's having, like, oh, it's fake. Like, she's so insecure. You're talking about, like, this MMA fighter that really brought women's fighting in UFC to prominence because she was the poster child, and she's so deeply insecure. I don't need to pick apart anything. She self-destructs. Any provocation that challenges her person, any boo, any negative criticism, she wilts like a flower dying in winter. I don't need to cut a promo. She destroys herself every chance she gets. If anything, like Ashton said, we knew it was coming. And it'd be like that sometimes. You know, if Ronda comes back and it's all a work, great. Then you get somebody, and I'll even use Ashton's phrase that he used quite a bit in the late half of Ronda's run. It's a sunken cost fallacy. They're going to give her everything because we put so much money into this, we have to make it work. And they'll just do it again. It'll be the same bullshit. So yeah, I mean, it is what it is. That's really how I feel about it.
Yep. Yeah, man. That's pretty much it. Like we literally said when the news came out that she was signing and that she was going to be, signed to a multi-year full-time deal. I literally came up here and said verbatim, she's not going to be good, but the WWE is going to push her like she is good, and they're going to go out of their way to protect her because of how much they paid for her, because it's the sunk cost fallacy. And she's going to be a dark storm cloud hovering over whatever show's women's division she's on. Every single thing that I said came to light. Everything. Like,
yeah.
We haven't nailed anything harder than we nailed Ronda Rousey's run in WWE, I don't think.
Yeah, so there's no need to cut a promo because to me, promos are always a reaction to, I expected this and I got this, and there's such a chasm between those two things, I'm angry about it. But, like, this was everything that you thought it would be. I co-signed on to your opinions very early on. I know I did. Maybe I was slightly optimistic, but that quickly went out the window. And yeah, nothing to get mad about. Next question.
Next question, fifth and final question from Super Blue. Pick 5 wrestlers, now this is fun, to form the Power Rangers TWitWoW. And actually went a little bit more into detail here.
Okay.
He said it's the Power Rangers TWitWoW to stop the evil forces of Vince, Cody, Dave Meltzer, Wrestling Twitter, and the Evil Ranger team of Charlotte, Natty, Lacey, Dolph, and Nia Jax. The wrestlers you choose will have their own Zords, although you don't have to pick Zords if you don't want to, which can form a Megazord and can combine with John's Black Wolf Zord and Ashton's Purple Raptor Zord to form any other Zord combinations and your Ultra Zord. You can fight alongside them or let them do the ground fighting and only join them for Zord battles if you want. Feel free to change what you want. So it was a longer explanation, but I feel like he's given us a lot of room to work with here.
Yo, that shit's fucking baller. Let's make
we also got a $2 super chat from Kirby Freeman. He said, I hope Stardom is back this month. Hashtag Konami All Belts. Don't we all, Kirby? Don't we all? I'm honestly, not only Stardom, but like I'm hoping that we get New Japan either May or June. And I'm hoping TJPW comes back soon too, man.
Absolutely. I'm gonna say for my team, how many female Rangers were there in the original iteration? Was there 2?
2. Kimmy,
like okay.
Kimmy and Trini.
Okay. So then I'm going to say Naomi and Asuka.
Ooh, Naomi. I feel like Naomi should be like the Pink Ranger, and Asuka should be like a Lime Green Ranger.
Yeah, and they've teamed together, and I know that they're actually friends, so it would work. Then I'm going to say, let me really think about this now, Daniel Bryan. So
Ranger.
Asuka, Naomi, Daniel Bryan, 5 Rangers, right?
Yeah.
5 wrestlers. So Asuka, Naomi, Bryan. Then you know what I'm gonna say? Oddly enough, I know he's a heel, but I think he could do it well if we did a babyface turn. Cesaro.
Okay.
Cesaro.
Okay.
And
Cesaro, Yellow Ranger makes sense, or Red Ranger.
And honestly, because I've seen enough Power Rangers when I was younger. I have to do this fucking guy, fucking Mundo Morrison with those abs and that parkour. I have to do it. Parkour Ranger.
Okay.
So yeah, Asuka and Naomi.
So I would say
Bryan,
Cesaro would probably be your Red Ranger. Mundo would probably be your Yellow Ranger. I'm guessing then.
Okay, yeah, that's good for me, man. That's my team: Asuka, Naomi, Bryan, Cesaro, Morrison. Cesaro's the only weird one to me that maybe I should mull on a bit more. But other than that, I love my team. That's it. That's set.
All right.
What do you got, bud?
Okay, Black Ranger, Io Shirai.
Epic.
Yellow or Gold Ranger. I like Gold Ranger because of the gimmick. Okada.
Amazing.
Red Ranger, Naito.
Nice.
Blue Ranger, Andrade.
Ooh, I like that.
And actually, I'm changing Naito to the Green Ranger. Naito is now my Green Ranger because my Red Ranger is Hiromu Takahashi.
Oh my god! I love that you went with like all the Japanese talent and then Andrade. Like
Yeah.
holy shit!
Well, I would have Daniel Bryan on my team, but I didn't want to copy any of yours. So
Right, that's fair. I love though, because like I want to say this carefully, but like with the Megazord and everything, that seems like a very anime, like Japanese cinema type concept.
hell
And I
yeah.
like that you kind of lean into that, you know, with all the Japanese talent. It's like, what's
Well, dude,
running this shit?
Yeah,
now?
Power Rangers originally was Super Sentai Ranger, and that is a Japanese show.
Yeah, so there you go. You're just paying homage, man, to those fucking roots. You're paying respect to the roots. I'm here for it. That's great. Oh man. Next question.
Are we not doing Zords?
Oh wait. Okay, so what's this part of the question? Walk me through it again.
Well,
Because I thought it was just picking the team. So do I have to pick an animal for each Zord or what?
Well, yeah. I mean, it could be an animal. It could be a dinosaur. You know, let me look up a Zord real quick. Yeah, animal / dinosaur / creature plus a color. And again, I already kind of helped you as far as assigning your colors, and I assigned my own colors. So you can just pick, you know, the animal, dinosaur, whatever you want. And the colors, if you want to change them, feel free. If you just want me to tell you what I kind of suggested, I can. So we can just go through it that way if you want.
Let me just see something real quick.
Okay.
And while I'm looking up something, why don't you go so we don't have dead air? Do you have any ideas what you do for yours?
Okay. Well, I think, God, it's so tempting to just give Hiromu a cat Zord, but I feel like it would be too small, and there's no real reasonable way to make a domestic house cat Zord size, so I'm going to have to skip on that. And I am going to give Okada a Tiger Zord, though, for sure. So Okada gets the gold Tiger Zord. That sounds amazing. Andrade is blue. Sombra. I'm trying to figure out. La Sombra gets the blue. It's on the tip of my tongue. Blue. I don't want to make it too wordy either, because like I'm trying to think of something that flies because he's such a great like luchador flyer type. But I also already have the Raptor Zord for myself, so I can't give him that. And I don't want to give him something super wordy like a Quetzalcoatlus or something crazy like that. Let's go with the blue Eagle Zord.
Ooh, that sounds exotic as fuck.
EO. God, I'm gonna have a lot of birds, aren't I? Well, no, I can have two birds. I can have one bird that's like the chest piece, and one bird that can be like the legs. So, or I could have one bird that could be like the head even. So EO, black. Oh, I don't want to say swan because there's already a black swan. That's already a thing. Black crane Zord, maybe. I don't really love that though either. What are those? Oh, I actually have a good idea. I just need to remember the word. Longest wingspan. Albatross. Black albatross Zord. She is going to be the arms, while Andrade's blue eagle is the chest. Okada's golden tiger is going to be the head and body. And then we need two legs. So the legs then are going to be Hiromu and Naito. Makes so much sense that the LIJ guys would both be legs together. So Naito, I'm going to go a little more like mythical creature with Naito because I really want Naito to have a green Cyclops Zord.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, I wanted to say, yeah, because, you know, the Cyclops, because he always opens up one eye really wide when he does his pose. So the blue Cyclops Zord, or the green Cyclops Zord.
Okay.
And then Hiromu gets the red Minotaur Zord. So we've got two mythical creatures, two birds, and a tiger. Yeah,
okay.
Red Minotaur for Hiromu. Yeah, that just makes sense to me for some reason. I don't know. So yeah, those are my Zords. They're silly as hell, but it's just the best I could do. So now it's your turn. I'm curious.
Yeah, believe me, mine are going to be awful. You have no reason to feel bad. For Asuka, I wanted to be cute, so I'm actually going to go with the national animal of Japan. And apparently, the national animal of Japan is called the green pheasant. So I guess I'll just do a pheasant Zord for her. Cesaro, Switzerland doesn't have a national animal, so we're just going to do a bear. I know Brian wrestled a bear, but I hope that they have synergy. So we're going to do a bear Zord there. Brian, hold on a second, because Brian's
let me see. Gotta be a gorilla, right?
Hold on.
I would have said,
you know what?
A gorilla for Cesaro, but
I'm going to give Brian, because I just looked up animals that are vegan or like are plant-based. I'm going to give Brian a bison Zord. There we go.
Ooh. So, well, I mean, all herbivores are plant-based, so, you know.
So yeah, bison works.
And by the way, gorillas are, I believe, also herbivores.
Ooh. So we got bear for Cesaro. Fine, I'll go gorilla with Brian. That's fine. Gorilla Zord for Brian. I said pheasant Zord for Asuka. So now that only leaves Jomo and who else did I? Jomo and Naomi. That's it. Jomo, I think because he loves his dog so much, I'm just gonna give him a dog Zord. And then
you could give him a wolf Zord, and then he's perfect for you.
Oh my God, you're right. It's the fucking dream. Hell yeah. Fucking he gets a wolf Zord so we can, like, I don't know, join together. And then Naomi, peacock Zord, because she's colorful like a peacock.
Oh, I love it. Yes.
Yeah, peacock Zord for Naomi. Perfect.
That's awesome.
Came through in the fucking clutch, baby.
You could have given her a flamingo since she's the Pink Ranger for you.
That is true.
I love the peacock.
Yeah, peacock's perfect. I'm sticking with it.
Yeah. That's baller. All right, let's move on. That was our final question from Super Blue, so let's move on to our 2 questions from Alex Cage on Twitter. First up, should Nancy Benoit be in the WWE Hall of Fame?
I'm going to just do a slight retread of talking about the Vice documentary last month. Hall of Fame is meaningless, and she's never going to go in there anyway. I think if we're talking purely on wrestling merit, sure. I think it'd be far more productive to get a foundation to help survivors of domestic violence and sexual violence named after her, and just kind of follow that example. I mean, she survived that once.
She can get a Warrior Award.
Yeah, a Warrior Award, something like that. Because, I mean, yeah, she was a manager. I'm not too familiar with her managing work, but on wrestling terms, probably, yeah. But if we really wanted it to mean something and not be illusory, like, I think the real honor would be doing more social justice, doing more activism work in the vein of curbing and preventing domestic and sexual violence, of which she was both a survivor in the one relationship and unfortunately a victim in the other. So that's just my thoughts on that.
All right. I just co-sign on everything you just said.
Sweet. Next question.
Second question from Alex Cage. For season 3 of Dark Side of the Ring, what topics / wrestlers would you like to see them talk about?
Ooh, I'm going to be honest. The Benoit one was the only one I cared about, for obvious reasons. I haven't watched anything beyond that. So I don't know what they've covered and what they haven't. But
I'll tell you, they have covered. There have been a grand total of 22 episodes so far. Or actually 16 episodes.
Okay.
I was double counting season 1. So the 16 episodes they've covered, episode 1 was Randy Savage and Miss Elizabeth.
Okay.
2 was the Montreal Screwjob. 3 was Bruiser Brody and the killing of Bruiser Brody. 4 was the last of the Von Erichs, the Von Erich family. 5 was the mysterious death of Gorgeous Gino, which was about Gino Hernandez. 6, they actually did one on the Fabulous Moolah, which I'm very curious about, and how they painted her, if they actually painted her in the light that she deserves to be painted in, which is absolute garbage tier human being, or if they tried to make her more sympathetic. The first 2 episodes of season 2 were Benoit. Episode 3 was New Jack. Episode 4 was WWF Brawl for All. 5 was Jimmy Snuka. 6, Dino Bravo. 7, David Schultz. 8, Herb Abrams. 9, The Road Warriors. And 10, which, most of these haven't come out. 10 is going to be Owen Hart.
I guess when enough time has passed, maybe maybe the controversy of Kurt Angle and Karen and Jeff Jarrett, or in that same vein, Edge, Lita, and Matt. But I feel like that's been talked about to death. Maybe something on Jake Roberts or Scott Hall. That seems to fit more the aesthetic of Dark Side of the Ring. Scott would be better because Jake seems to be more triumphant. I have no idea. Well, Scott we actually saw on SmackDown recently. I guess he didn't look too bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
There's only one topic that hasn't been covered by Dark Side of the Ring that fits their sort of theme of bad shit that's happened in wrestling. And it also kind of goes along the same lines as the Brawl for All, which was like, whose fucking decision was this kind of deal? I want a Dark Side of the Ring on Vince Russo.
That'd be a great idea. That'd be a really great idea. I'm actually going to co-sign onto that because I really can't think of anything better than that. That's great. Great answer.
All right.
Yeah, next question.
Next set of questions from Javaris. First up, well, Bernie suspended his campaign. How fucked are we?
About as fucked as we were, when the campaign at least was in progress. I mean, we would have redressed some of the fuckery if we got him into office. But now we're once again forced in an antiquated binary to choose between incrementalism with Biden and, or, hellish fire and brimstone, I guess, with more Trump and all that stuff. It's a really shit sandwich to be in. And I think it's more concerning rather than just individuating the Bernie campaign. I think it's far more concerning that we have a candidate that really embodied FDR-style capitalism, but we've created a culture where that's considered too leftist and too communist. If that's too communist, like, reformism is dead then, because nobody's going to want to move a fucking inch. So I'd say in the grand scheme, pretty fucked, but I guess it all comes down to our own individual and collective efforts, so we'll see.
Do you know why Bernie's views are seen as too communist, too socialist, all that stuff?
Why is that, friend?
Because after FDR did die in 1945, the media and the Republicans and everyone that could basically started shooting anti-communist, anti-socialist propaganda and grouping those two things in together with anything that is pro-labor, basically. So all that stuff got lumped in together, and the media started spouting that it was all bad. And ever since then, that's pretty much been the narrative in the U.S. So,
propaganda's a bitch. Next question.
Second question from Javaris. Did you watch the New Jack Dark Side of the Ring, and what did you think of it? I haven't, so I can't answer.
I haven't. I cannot answer as well. Next question.
Okay, and the third question and final question from Javaris. Did you ever watch the Bruiser Brody episode of Dark Side of the Ring in Season 1? Again, I say no. I haven't watched a single one.
Again, I say no as well. Apologies, Javaris. And I guess that's that. So next set of questions.
Yes, Craig Skiff asked 5. First up, could this current pandemic, if it lasts long enough, potentially destroy the wrestling industry worldwide? Quick and easy answer, no.
Yeah, I think WWE is always going to find a way to keep moving. They already are. So there's always going to be wrestling. But if you're talking about the smaller chains, the indie feds, I would be more concerned about them. But I also feel like when we would get to a point of economic recovery, somebody would be inspired to open up a wrestling business again, and then you would almost see like just, lather, rinse, repeat kind of thing. So yeah. I'm also going to say no.
Yeah. Second question from Craig. What would the WrestleMania 32 main event had been if Dean Ambrose would have beaten Triple H for the WWE title at Roadblock leading up to the show?
Well, it would have just been Dean versus Roman then, right? Because didn't Roman win the Rumble that year or no? Or no, Triple H,
I guess. It probably would have been a triple threat.
Dean, Roman, and Triple H, probably.
Yeah, that'd be my guess.
Yeah, I agree with that. Next.
Third question from Craig is actually just for me. What is your opinion on the Chargers drafting Justin Herbert to replace Phillip Rivers? I like Herbert. He's really athletic. He's got a really good arm. He was pretty efficient in college. He really kind of checks every box that I look for in quarterback prospects, but a lot of people that I consider really smart and that I respect just do not like Herbert at all, and they think that a lot of the stuff that he does well won't translate, and a lot of the stuff that he doesn't do well will translate to the next level. So I'm cautiously optimistic about Herbert. I personally think he's going to be at least pretty good, but I've heard enough negative things from smart people that I'm definitely worried about him. So cautiously optimistic is the best way I can describe it. Fourth question from Craig. How far up the New Japan ladder do you think Jon Moxley could go if he would choose to be with New Japan full time once his AEW contract runs out in 2 years?
I like him so much more in New Japan. I think he's so much more alive in New Japan. I would go to the top. I would say I could even see him being a one-time IWGP Heavyweight Champion.
Yes,
like
I
honestly,
definitely agree.
yeah.
Like, honestly, if we're just going by sort of quality of matches, you know, maybe not. But if we're going by just quality of overall performance, like if we're including, you know, not just like how great your 30-minute matches are, but also just like how into the crowd people, or how into you the crowd is, and sort of how well you come off, and your ability to kind of translate to the US audiences. I think that a lot of that stuff is working in Moxley's favor. I don't necessarily think that they would put the title on him if they weren't interested in expanding into the US, but the fact that they are tells me that there is a really strong chance that if he would choose them, they would happily choose him for their world title.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that.
Because I do think that Moxley is a bigger star in the US than pretty much anybody on the New Japan roster right now.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
And he's also the guy that has a better chance of bringing in new fans to New Japan than anyone currently on the New Japan roster other than him. So,
yeah, definitely.
All right, second question, or fifth question. My God, I had the wrong thing highlighted. Fifth question from Craig Skiff. It's for both of us. Who's your favorite comedian? And he said that his personal favorite was Jeff Dunham, the ventriloquist.
I guess for us, I mean, Carlin's always great whenever you and I watch stand-up, and we do see some Carlin stuff. And I think he was also very truthful, even today. Yeah. Like, his remarks have aged very well. So it may be a lazy answer, it may be a cop-out, but I'm gonna say Carlin.
Well, if you say Carlin all time, what about currently living?
Currently living? I really don't watch that many. Well, I guess when you count shows and stuff, maybe I would have to think about comedic actors.
Well, no, he specifically said comedian.
Yeah, I don't really listen to many comedians, unfortunately, so I really can't give an informed opinion on this.
I've got kind of a three-way tie rattling around in my brain right now, between Bo Burnham, who is more of like a musical comedian.
Yeah, I'll actually say Bo Burnham. I'm so glad I actually forgot about him.
Dude, I think you're going to agree with all three of the names that I list. So
yeah,
Bo Burnham is one. Daniel Tosh is another. And
kind of, yeah.
And then Jim Jeffries is another big one.
I like Jeffries. I'm ambivalent about Tosh, to be honest, but Bo Burnham is good shit. I'll actually say, if we're talking current, when I see him, Bo Burnham is very entertaining. I love the musical aspect of his acts and everything. Yeah. He's got a good synthesis of a lot of stuff. So Bo Burnham will be my thank you, because I actually forgot about him. It's been a while. Yeah. But yeah, I'm
a big fan of all three of those guys. They all provide social commentary in very different ways. Like, Jim Jeffries is much more straight to the point. He almost feels like sort of a spiritual successor to, I forgot the guy's name already. Spiritual successor to, John, help me out. Who'd you say all time?
Carlin.
Yeah, God, why could I not think of his name? Yeah, Jim Jeffries feels almost like a spiritual successor to Carlin because he addresses it straight on. He just goes straight into it, just right away, just like, you know, let's just go straight into talking about these issues, and he puts funny twists on a lot of them. Daniel Tosh, in his stand-up sets, he's almost playing a character who is fully aware of their own privilege and fully embraces it and loves it, and like uses that perspective to highlight to people what privilege grants and what people without privilege don't have and what they don't get. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
And then I think that Bo Burnham is much more of like a self-aware comedian who does address social issues, but is more focused on the mental illness and mental health side of things.
Right.
I just think they're all great. So I think they're all great in very, very different ways. If I had to rank them, I would probably say Jeffries 1, Tosh 2, Burnham 3, but it's close. And I think Jeffries at 1 is the most clear cut, and then Burnham and Tosh are more like side by side than one above the other. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
I really have a hard time distinguishing who of those two guys that I prefer. So, big fan of both of them. Big fan of all three of those guys. Jim Jeffries. Honestly, we tried watching the Jim Jeffries show from the beginning. We just didn't have the time. I almost want to just kind of jump in and just see what Jim Jeffries has been doing lately. I think he actually does have a relatively recent, like within the last couple of years, Netflix special that I'd like to check out. So, I was a huge fan of the show that he had on, I think it was FX. I forget what it was called though. Let me see if I can find that real quick.
Was it just called the Jim Jeffries Show? I didn't
That's
think it was
he has the Jim Jeffries show is an actual like almost like the Daily Show type news show.
Right. Oh
It
yeah,
has like comedy built into it. But the show that he was on FX was called Legit.
That's right.
Loved that show. So good.
Yeah.
So that was great. I love Jim Jeffries. He's awesome. So let's move on to our questions that we got from Iconic. First up, we got 5, by the way, all for both of us. First up, should modern world championship reigns stay at the maximum of 10 months or still be able to go on for years like in the days of the NWA at its prime?
I think those things are so socially and culturally contingent. It's hard for us to like answer that it should be one way or the other, because if one heel's really getting a lot of heat, who's to say that a heel couldn't successfully have a 2-year title reign, for instance, if they keep getting heat and they keep being dastardly and you keep it novel?
I think the key to a really good year-plus title reign is character evolution during the title reign. Like,
yes.
I think that what made CM Punk's really long title reign work was that he was a face for half of it and then turned heel and was a really effective heel for half of it too. I think that, Asuka, I think what made her NXT title reign work was that for the latter half of it, or at least the latter third of it, I would say, she wasn't necessarily an outwardly spoken heel character, but she was portraying and exhibiting much more of a heelish vibe and a lot more sort of heelish qualities. So I think that, if somebody wins the title as a heel and they can kind of pull an Okada and just keep putting on these banger performances and eventually be able to turn face as champion, that is a really interesting, like, I don't know if I've ever seen that done before, honestly. I think Jay Lethal kind of did that when he was the Ring of Honor champion. But the other way around is a lot more common, where you win it as a face and you hold it long enough that people start to turn on you, and then you turn heel after they've already started turning on you. That, to me, is how you get a long title reign that doesn't suck.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's an excellent point. And that's what I mean about it being so contingent on other factors. Yeah. You can't just say, like, this is the mold, because anything that's monolithic and rigid, it's going to die out so fast. You've got to be adaptable. You've got to have your finger to the pulse. And, yeah, I completely agree with Ashton. Enough said. Next question.
Next question from Iconic. You're quarantined with one actor, one music artist, one wrestler, one comedian, and one politician. Choose your team and survive.
Okay, let me take this slow, okay? And I may even need your help, Ashton, just to remind me what's what.
Number 1 is actor.
Morgan Freeman. That voice will help me get to sleep so fucking easy. Done deal. Morgan Freeman. Next.
Number 2 is a music artist.
So not a group then. I couldn't do like a Raven face. Artist seems singular, right?
Well, it doesn't say one singer or one performer. It says artist. I don't know how you want to interpret that.
I'm going to keep it singular because it's quarantine anyway, and we all need to social distance, so an entire band may complicate things.
That's true. That's true. Let's stick with one person then.
Eminem.
One wrestler.
Daniel Bryan.
One comedian.
Fuck it, Jim Jeffries. We were just talking. No, Bo Burnham.
And one politician.
Bernie Sanders.
Okay. Oh my God, Mom! Shut up. I'm gonna pick my picks now. One actor. Shit. Who did you pick as your actor again?
Morgan Freeman.
That's right. Yeah. So you said you had Morgan Freeman, Eminem, Daniel Bryan, Bo Burnham, and Bernie. Okay. God, you picked some really good ones. Like, Daniel Bryan is like the ideal wrestler to quarantine with, but I don't know. I guess the wrestler that I would choose would probably actually be Aleister Black.
Oh, that's sweet.
because he seems like a really down to earth dude. We wouldn't clash from a religious standpoint because I know he's also an atheist. He he seems like a really well spoken dude. You could have conversations with him. He's you know he likes to play games. And plus I would hope that then Zelina would show up from now for here and there. Then as far as comedian, I mean, you took Bo. You kind of audibled out of Jim Jeffries, so I'll just take Jim Jeffries and just go with it since I already said that he was my favorite comedian.
Yeah, for sure.
So we've got Aleister Black, Jim Jeffries. I mean, politician, you took Bernie. I'll just take AOC, and that also, is just nice to have a female voice in the house,
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
So I took Aleister Black, Jim Jeffries, AOC. I need a music artist and an actor. Music artist, I'll go Lady Gaga.
Nice. I like that.
Because she's like a really big time progressive voice, and she's been doing more presidential duties lately than the actual president. And then actor, God. You know what? I need to be entertained, and I haven't really picked anybody that's like overly funny other than Jim Jeffries so far. Shia LaBeouf.
There you go. Wow, that's one hell of an interesting quarantine.
So I've got Shia LaBeouf, Lady Gaga, Aleister Black, Jim Jeffries, and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. That's crazy and amazing, and I love it, and I'm here for it. Yes.
Perfect. Next question.
Third question from Iconic. Why is Florida Man so weird?
God, I wish I knew. I don't even have a suitable answer for this question.
Do you even know who Florida Man is?
No.
It's like this, I think it's just like an amalgamation of like every random weirdo in Florida that has been arrested and had like a mugshot posted online.
Okay, so it's more like a concept than like an actual like meme or entity.
Yeah, the idea is
that.
like the dude that got high on bath salts and ate someone's face. That would be considered Florida Man, as well as just like any random dude that like, I don't know, has like a fucking hostel in his backyard. Or, like, you know what I mean? It's like random dudes that get arrested for weird shit in Florida, basically, is what Florida.
Well, then, now that you've contextualized it appropriately, I guess my question for the question would be, why do we magnify Florida so much when there's weirdness everywhere, probably, if we looked hard enough?
I mean, have
unique
there
about Florida
ever been
that gets
any other instances of somebody getting high on bath salts and eating someone's face like they're a fucking zombie?
I'm not gonna say no outright. I'm just gonna say maybe, because we don't know. Like, yeah, because I'm not even trying to cop out, but like when you think about what the media focuses on, we don't know. Maybe there was something about that particular man eating that particular face that was like, ooh, that's newsworthy, and another one, it's like, whatever. So it's just, yeah, I just wonder, like, what is it about Florida?
Yeah, that's the real question. To me, it's not what about Florida makes us report on Florida more often. To me, it's what about Florida makes people go fucking crazy.
The heat, maybe? I don't know.
The heat, I mean, that's where people go to die, people always say, because that's like where a lot of retirees go. The beaches, the Disney World and Orlando Resort and all that stuff. Like, I don't know, man. There's just something about Florida. It's like the Bermuda Triangle, but people don't get lost there. They just lose their minds.
God, and to think that, we have friends in
Rotten Butter in chat. Florida has the highest concentration of stupid shit.
Oh my God. And given that we have friends in Florida, I think of them daily.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Next question.
Next question from Iconic is our fourth question from him. When Walter, again, like we started out with the wrestling question and then we talked about quarantine and then Florida Man and now we're back to wrestling. When Walter drops the UK championship, will he be moved up to the main roster or stay in NXT UK?
I think he's staying in NXT UK because I could swear that I've seen that Walter doesn't want to travel a lot. He wants to stay close to home. So I think he'll be kind of like the Finn Balor of NXT UK, even though Finn Balor is starting to do a bit more business there working with Walter. But yeah, I just see Walter as that guy. I can see him
dropping the title, having like a weird run as like the top non-champion in NXT UK, turning face, and then winning the title back as a face.
Yeah, that's actually pretty perfect. I agree with that more or less. Next question.
Fifth and final question from Iconic. Oh, that was the same question I just read. God damn it, why is everyone asking about this shit? What Dark Side of the Ring episodes have been your favorites so far from seasons 1 and 2? I haven't watched a single one.
It feels even weird to say the Benoit one by default because I did watch that one, and I can't really say it's my favorite when that's my all-time favorite wrestler and learning about how horrific everything was. Hooray! So, I mean, I guess that one by default, but it feels weird talking about a favorite anything when this series is like, hey, you know that thing you love so much? It's got some shady shit, man. We're going to expose all of it. All right, next question.
Yeah, then we had 3 from Ace the Skylord. First up, what are your theories on the SmackDown hacker?
We kind of talked about this. I'm inclined to the rumors. I definitely think it's Ali and maybe Ali and Chad Gable. I'm just gonna keep it simple.
Yeah, I mean, there was somebody on Twitter that took like the disguised voices that were all slowed down and stuff, and he kind of decoded them, and it clearly sounded like Ali and Gable. So,
yeah,
to be where they're going. I'm wondering if they maybe thought it was going to be Ali and they had him do the voice for the first one, and then they called an audible and they were like, we want to make it Chad now instead of Ali. And so the most recent vignette, they had Ali, his voice be the first half of it, and then Gable kind of took over, and they're thinking like, okay, now we've transitioned Ali out of the role, it's going to be Gable now. So I'm not even thinking it has to be both of them. I think it could be both of them, but I also think that there's a chance that it could be either or. Like it could be one or both. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely.
So that's the only real addition to your theory that I can provide. Second question from Ace the Skylord: thoughts on WWE reverting back to taped shows for the foreseeable future?
I don't think they should be doing shows at all. Yeah. But if you're going to be doing shows, you might as well tape them and then let the performers get back to their families and quarantining safely. That's
that's definitely a much better option, because like option A is you're around a bunch of people for a day, and then you're at home with your family for 3 days, and then you're around a bunch of people for a day, and then you're at home with your family for 2 days. And like the fact that a lot of people don't even show any kind of symptoms of COVID for the first, like, I've seen up to 11 days of having it.
Yeah.
It's a lot better to have everything get done in one big like group taping and then give people like a month or 2 off,
Yeah, exactly.
Like, again, I'm with you. I would rather they just straight up do not have any kind of anything at all and just suspend all activity, suspend all pay-per-views even. If you have to have a period of time where you have a pay-per-view every 2 weeks after everything gets back to normal, I would rather see them do that than have everything continuing as normal. I really don't like it.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Third and final question from Ace the Skylord. From an outsider's perspective, comment on California's response to the outbreak. And then he added that he basically feels like they had an insufficient response initially and have been trying to play catch up ever since. And that he's really disappointed in a state with so many resources failing to properly respond to the outbreak.
I mean, you could say that about the whole country, really. I feel like we've nationally responded to this so poorly. I can't focus on, California specifically. I knew New Hampshire here where I live. It hasn't been too bad, but, it keeps steadily rising, I guess, because we just have more testing, and that's just naturally going to happen. But I feel like the idea that you haven't, what's that act called? The Emergency Defense Act or something, like where you can just use presidential powers to force companies to manufacture a certain thing, usually used in wartime.
Executive order.
Yeah. Like, the idea that he hasn't had all these companies like produce ventilators or masks or whatever. The idea, and I'm still angry about this because if you really wanted to squash this, and I know it would have made a lot of people uncomfortable, and I would have even been uneasy about it. I'm not saying there isn't risk. I want everybody to understand. I shared a post recently on Facebook that perfectly encapsulated my feelings about COVID, because I'm obviously worried about the virus. I am worried about the political reverberations of like authorities having this kind of power, and I think it also mentioned like the ecological effects. Like I'm all three. Like I'm thinking about all three, but I feel like we should have had a national emergency lockdown for 2 weeks. Like, I feel like you should just lock the whole country down for those 2 weeks, but doing it state by state. Some states were open. Other states are already opening beaches. Like, we are so disorganized and disjointed in our efforts. Like, it's not like a collective effort type thing, that it's going to keep spreading. Some states are going to have flare-ups. Other states are going to be controlled. But nationally, it's just always going to be, especially because people travel everywhere, it's always going to be up in the air because we didn't have a uniform response to this. California is just one instance of many. I don't know, Ashton, I know you live in like PA. Like, how have they handled it? Has your governor said anything? Has the mayor said anything? Like,
yeah, it's been a slow rolling thing for PA. Like, we were hearing about, like my mom would update me almost every day. Like, there have been 25 deaths in PA so far. Oh, there have been 72 deaths in PA so far. Oh, there have been 130. Like, she kept doing that until the point that we were in like the thousands. And it was around that point that our governor, I believe his name is Tom Wolf, issued the stay-at-home order. And then, like, a few days after that, he issued a mask requirement to go into public places. And, they put out this whole thing about how to make masks from home. They put out, like, an informational website page on how to make masks at home and a PDF and stuff on how to do that. And that was just right at the end of March, really. Like, I think that it was maybe like March 29th or something that the mask requirement was put out. So from my perspective, I feel like we were really slow, but I'm actually looking, and apparently California's first coronavirus death was on March 4th, and it took 15 days for their governor to issue a mandate, a stay-at-home mandate. So I do agree with Ace that was slower than it should have been, but apparently that stay-at-home mandate was still the first in the country. Like, the California stay-at-home mandate was still the first stay-at-home mandate in the United States. And even then, I would agree that it was still way too slow. So it's really interesting. I actually saw on Reddit the other day, because there is a coronavirus subreddit, because of course there's a subreddit for everything. I think it was like Patient 31 or something like that, where one person in, I want to say, South Korea caused, like, let me see if I can find this. Let me make sure. Yeah, okay. Let me see here. Patient 31. Here it is. Yeah. South Korea. I was right. I was actually right about all these details. It was Patient 31 in South Korea. It says here the first 30 coronavirus patients in South Korea were fine. South Korea was able to handle them just fine. They were able to control COVID-19 through their first 30 patients. But then when patient 31 came along, that person did not adhere to social distancing and caused 2 clusters of infections that were responsible for 80% of South Korea's total infections.
Wow.
That is how much damage one person not following stay-at-home orders can do. 80% of the total infections in South Korea. And we've been talking about for over a month at this point how insanely well South Korea has handled this whole thing. They are testing at a higher rate than any other country. They have these stay-at-home mandates. Everything is in place. All it took was one jackass that didn't follow their shit. And they only made like 2 trips in between getting infected and making it to the hospital. And those 2 trips just happened to infect that many fucking people that it ended up being responsible for 80% of their total people that got infected. Like, how insane is that?
Yeah, that's nuts.
So that's yeah, that's why though, like, just the spread of virus in general is why I think that, the whole country, but since we're specifically supposed to be talking about California here, California was too late on their stay-at-home mandate. I really think, like, because, even if people are hearing, like, oh, there are stay-at-home mandates in other countries, if you're not hearing it in your own country, and especially in your own state, all you're thinking is, well, it's happening somewhere else, we don't have to worry about it. But as soon as you hear that, like, in your own state, that clicks something in people's minds, and granted, it's also going to click the opposite in some people's minds, because there are going to be people that decide to fucking protest, which is, don't even get me started on that, but most people are going to hear that and be like, okay, I need to take this seriously now. I'm actually going to try and stay at home for as much as I can now. Like, it makes a difference,
Absolutely.
So, Yeah, I guess that's about as much as we can say about it. So let's move on to our next set of questions. This is from Mark Schoneman. First up, create a stable using 3 to 4 characters from the last 3 movies that you watched.
3 to 4 characters using the
Ooh,
last.
I like this. Because the last 2 movies that I've watched have both been Transformers films. It was Transformers 2, Revenge of the Fallen, and Transformers 3, Dark of the Moon. So Dark Side of the Moon or whatever. I think it was just Dark of the Moon. So that's 2 of the last 3 movies I've watched. And I want to say that the third most recent movie I watched was Be Cool, which is the John Travolta movie featuring Christina Milian and Uma Thurman and I think Cedric the Entertainer. Like, those are the last 3 movies that I've watched.
Yeah, wow.
So I'm gonna choose Michaela from Transformers 2 because she's the best character in that entire goddamn series. I'm sure as hell not picking Sam. That dude's an asshole. I'm sure as hell not picking either one of his parents either. They're the worst. I'm gonna go with, I forget his actual character's name, but the dude that John Turturro plays in the Transformers series is hilarious. So even if he wouldn't be useful in this stable, he would be very entertaining. So I'm gonna go with him. So I've got Michaela and the John Turturro character. And since this is supposed to be a wrestling stable, I'm gonna go with Christina Milian because she's young. At least she was when she was in Be Cool. I don't know how young she is anymore. I'm gonna go with her character, which again I don't remember her name. And our manager is gonna be the dude that actually played a manager in his movie, John Travolta's character in Be Cool. Fuck yeah!
There you go. Trying to think about the movies I've watched recently. What's the last movie we watched together? You mean?
Oh yeah, that's right. The Rock could be in my stable. He was in Be Cool too. Okay, swap out John Turturro for The Rock. We're going for entertainment factor. Nobody is a better at wrestling, a better sports entertainer than The Rock. We know this by now. So yeah, let me look up names. I want to get names right. Transformers cast. I forget what John Turturro's character's name is. Let me find him. Simmons. It's just Simmons. So Simmons from Transformers. Actually, he's out. I don't know why I even bothered doing that. So it's literally 3 characters from Be Cool because it's The Rock's character, which was Elliot. I remember him. Elliot, Linda Moon, which is Christina Milian's character, and Chili Palmer, which is John Travolta's character from Be Cool, plus Michaela from Transformers, because I say it again, she's the best character in the entire series. So that's my 4-person faction. Your turn, John.
Well, again, I'm just trying to think about the movies we've watched and the movies I've watched, because I feel like the last movies I've watched have just been with you guys.
Oh, okay. Do you want me to pull up my Netflix and look at the recently watched or continue watching or whatever?
Sure, yeah, that sounds good.
All right, let me see if I can find some stuff here. Oh, man. You might want to do the same, honestly, because you might be able to find it faster than me. If we're both looking at the same time, we're better off.
Yeah.
Flicks. Here we go. Let's see. I'm going to also be looking in our Facebook message to see if I've sent you any links to movies.
Okay. We did Sin City. I'm seeing that.
That is true, but I didn't know if that was recent or not.
I mean, recent enough for me, given the movies
I was
going to
say, yeah, you could make a 4-person wrestling stable from that movie alone. That movie had so many badasses in it. Jesus.
Yeah. Let's see. Because again, I don't watch movies that often. The only movies I really like.
Yeah, you're much more of a TV show person, whereas I'm more of a movie person.
Yeah.
You're way better at commitment than I am.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm just like, give me 2 hours of fun and I'm done. John's just like, no, give me 13 hours minimum.
Let's see.
Watch it again. Here we go. None of these are anywhere close to recent. So.
Yeah, I guess I would just say from Sin City, I would go with Bruce Willis's character, John Hardigan, the detective, since I love a good hard-boiled type thing. I know we watched Whiplash for my birthday, and I'm just going by movies that we've watched.
Yeah.
So I guess I would go with Fletcher and Andrews, so that would be very, very intense jazz music for the journey. And
I
then
might
just
go with
trying to-
Fletcher as like a manager type character, but you already have, Bruce Willis's character from Sin City to kind of do that.
Yeah.
What was Mickey
Uh,
Rourke's character's name in Sin City?
Let's see. I pulled up the
Marv.
Wiki. Marv. Yeah, Marv. Who is he again? Let's see.
Oh, by the way, Mark actually just said in chat you could do TV shows if you wanted.
Oh, okay.
So if you
That
wanted to
makes-
just do TV shows instead of doing like Sin City and stuff like that, that Mark just kind of opened that up for you.
That's a lot easier. I'd probably do Trevor Belmont from Castlevania, since that's a really good anime. I would do, what's the squad for again? We've been kind of hemming and hawing so long. What was the original question? What are we putting together exactly?
It's just a wrestling stable.
Oh, just a wrestling stable?
3 to 4 characters, yeah.
I would do Bojack as kind of the douchey heel in the faction.
Nice.
Let's see. TV shows. Thinking about what I've watched lately. Also thinking about what I've watched with the family. Ooh. I would do Tokyo from Money Heist, which is a great show if you guys haven't watched it. Money Heist is fucking amazing. I'm dying to watch the latest season, and we just haven't gotten to it yet. And the final person, let's see, Bojack, Trevor Belmont, Tokyo from Money Heist. What else?
Do you just want to stop at 3?
Three's good. Three's good, yeah.
Okay. Are we ready to move on?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, the next question is for you, and you only cut a promo on something you feel like cutting a promo on, no matter how insignificant or significant it may be.
Fuck. Shit.
It's a lot harder for you to strum up anger when you've been so zen for the last few days.
I know. I feel like I've even been zen in this recording. Is it just me? Am I giving all that
you're
vibe?
pretty zen, yeah. No rants or anything like that, for sure.
Yeah. No, anger's pointless. In fact, maybe I just cut a promo on anger. We give so much time, so much energy to it, and it's like, I understand it. I'm not saying it's never appropriate. I mean, certainly for marginalized groups, but we just got to keep looking forward. We just got to keep doing the best we can. We got to be tending to ourselves. I haven't tended to myself in a long time, and maybe I used anger as a crutch. I was dependent on it because I felt like all I could really do productively as a disabled man in an increasingly inaccessible society was be angry. But there's always something else than anger. There's always something else than the next big rant or the next big tirade. There's connecting with people. There's making sure people's needs are met financially, emotionally, psychically, whether it's giving money to a PayPal, putting in hours on a text line, whatever. I understand emotions are powerful and emotions are necessary. I'm not invalidating emotional experience as such. But I think we need to focus more on what we do with them, because no matter how much we like it or don't like it, we are social creatures. I hate to be the meme, but we live in a society. And we're always, a part of that. And it's just, you have to ask yourself, when you stop beating yourself up and you stop getting angry, either at yourself or at others, and you really just take in the world as it is, calmly and with a deep breath, as so, and then you begin asking, what can it be? And I just really think, like, if we all did that collectively, I know I'm surprised by now I haven't gone on a political rant, but I realize ranting about Joe Biden's kind of decline or how sick I am, reading the vivid description of Tara Reid, what Joe Biden did to her, and I do believe Tara Reid. I could be angry about the system and its inequities. I could be angry that women are dehumanized. I could be angry about how, as a male, there are ways we're socialized to be complicit in that culture. I could be angry about a lot of things, but what am I active about? And I wonder if we ever really had that honest conversation with ourselves, how different things would be, not only for society, because, obviously that's important, but even our relationship to ourselves, because sooner or later that anger comes back at you. I certainly know it has for me for so many years. And you realize you've just wasted all that time when life is about love and friendship and togetherness and laughing and being joyous. And I'm starting to wonder, can there be a social justice that's just happy, that doesn't really have anger at its root, that has a joyousness to it and an affirmative attitude and disposition towards it? I'm trying to figure that out. And, in doing that work and being cut off from the internet, which I don't even mean to be a cliche of a cliche, it really does help when you're not inundated with news and tweets about coronavirus or I'm out of a job or how am I going to take care of my kids. And those are all valid concerns, but we can only do what we can. So rather than getting angry, I think I would pick a cause that is personal to me, which I'm feeling more and more like I'd like to do more stuff with domestic and sexual violence. One, because, you know, my favorite wrestler of all time, Chris Benoit, was a perpetrator of that kind of violence. Nancy seemed like a beautiful woman who did not deserve that. My own mother has an intimate history with it. A lot of women in my life have an intimate history with it. And the culture that props it up, I benefit from that culture being socialized as a male, socially speaking. And I just think because of the personal roots I share with that cause, that maybe it would just be better, rather than getting angry and yelling about it. Well, what organizations, and I'm actually talking meaningful organizations, not ones where the most heated discussion is how you divide up a penny, actually help women, actually give them shelter, actually empower them? How can I, with all my zen and all of my inner peace, how can I bring that person into the world and not be compromised, and not only not be compromised, but elevate the world and the people around me that I care about and that I cherish and that I hold dear? I think only when we really begin to ask those questions, which it's really rich for me to talk because I'm only just now asking these questions, but perhaps I've put too much stock into anger, and maybe the healthiest thing, which isn't to say that I've abandoned my ideological commitments. If you were to ask me, you know, John, do you still believe in the potency and the legitimacy of revolutionary violence characterized in the tradition of Goldman and Malatesta and other anarchists? I'd say yes. But I think the emotional is political. And I feel like we have higher ground as a movement if we show that we have more emotional shades than just anger. And I think that's how we win. If we can show that we can be joyous and find the beauty in life and the happiness in life, there's power in that. So at the end of the day, I think I'm just done being angry and fatiguing myself. I like my inner peace. I like bringing inner peace to other people, and anger doesn't do that. So I would just say to people, do what you can. If you vote for Biden, great. If you feel like that's political action, like I'm going to redress the harms by choosing the clear lesser of two evils. If you don't, but you're going to devote the day to food banks and handling telephone calls, great. Do what you can that's within your power to do it. Because here's the thing. If you do it, great. That's a little less harm in the world. And other people are also redressing harm. If you don't do it, the harm's going to be there when you're ready. Because the world's not going to just magically get better anytime soon. But it's just got to be with us, and it's got to be a healthier attitude. So I guess that's my promo on anger, and maybe that some, present company included in myself here, have put a little bit too much political stock into it, and maybe a real revolutionary movement understands that there are other emotions in the human experience that make them worthwhile. So there you go.
All right. Third question from Mark. Name one match, and I actually like this one. Name one match that makes you feel each of the following and tell us why. Happy, sad, angry. And he also added that he wants us to keep it unpredictable, and he specifically said, let me find his actual question here to make sure that I get it right. The one condition is that these matches should be ones we as listeners shouldn't be able to predict. So as far as happy, you shouldn't pick a match where a favorite wrestler wins a title. Angry shouldn't be a match that Charlotte won, etc. Try and keep it unpredictable.
Okay.
Can I go first?
Sure.
I'm just going first because I've had this in my mind for a while and I just wanted to get it out of the way. A match that makes me sad is Shibata Okada. Shibata's last match, basically. And it's like, I get so fucking into it, and like, I think that match might be the closest I've ever come to shedding tears, and not even the first time around, but on rewatches, because it's a fucking masterpiece, and it cost a guy his career.
Yeah. I guess in that same vein, I would say a match that made me sad would be Eddie Guerrero and Batista from No Mercy 2005, because that was Eddie's last pay-per-view match before he died. And, like, we didn't know it. So it sucks that one of the best wrestlers in the world was working a program with Batista, seemed to be on the cusp of becoming world champion again, just with the whole storyline. And he died, and he didn't get to complete that angle. And there were strong rumors that he was supposed to work Shawn Michaels that year for WrestleMania. So, like, Eddie's just whole 2005 into early 2006 was going to be amazing. and we just didn't know that it was going to be cut short. So I'd say that match would be a sad match for me. I'll volley the ball back to you, friend.
As far as let's just kind of go in order. So let's do angry next. Match that makes me angry, and then again, it's harder to say unpredictable because like it would be really easy for me to just point to yesterday and be like, oh yeah, Mia Yim versus Charlotte pissed me the hell off. But again, that's too predictable. So I would say a match that made me angry was Samoa Joe versus AJ Styles a few years ago, or it wasn't even Joe, I don't think. It was Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens versus AJ Styles a few years ago, where AJ got pinned and just kind of forgot to kick out for the US.
Yeah. I guess at the time, a match that made me angry, Braun Strowman versus Brock Lesnar from No Mercy a few years ago. It's funny how I have this negative relationship with No Mercy, apparently. Because I just felt like they should have pulled the trigger on Braun. He was doing the amazing stuff with Roman, the great visual segments of tipping over the ambulance and everything. And, like, he seemed primed for the fucking title, like, big time. And they just didn't put it on him. So, yeah, I'd say that's a match that made me angry. So, volleying it back to you, friend, what's the next emotion?
Happy, and I'm actually going to say Shingo versus Sho from the Best of the Super Juniors last year. Because even though Sho lost, I felt like that match put Sho on the map and made a lot of people see what I had already been seeing for a while, and that he was going to be a big star at some point. So that match put a big old smile on my face and made me really happy, even though he didn't even win it.
Yeah. I'm going to say Juice versus Kenny Omega from their 1G1. I want to say G1 Climax 24, maybe?
It couldn't have been 24 because that was before we were even watching New Japan.
Maybe 20. What was our first G1?
Our first G1 was 25.
It was either 25 or 26 then. In fact,
I want to say it was 26. G1 Climax. I'm gonna see if I think it was 26 because.
Oh, it was actually 27. I'm looking because I have it bookmarked. G1 Climax 27, day 14. Because Juice got the upset win over Kenny, and Juice's reaction was amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna go with that for making me happy because I think this is a great pace.
Just to add on to the happy from New Japan because they're so good at it. Sonata beating Okada in the G1 and Juice beating Moxley in the G1, both this past year, both made me very happy.
Yeah, that's a great pick.
And another one, Ospreay beating Tanahashi in the G1. All three of those matches put me on cloud 9.
Yeah.
And again, another one, Ospreay versus Ibushi. I don't even remember who won that match because I loved it that much. It made me that happy. So, I loved a match, and it had nothing to do with the outcome when I genuinely don't even remember who won, and I just know I loved the match.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you remember who won the Ospreay Ibushi G1 match?
Ospreay Ibushi G1 match. Didn't Ospreay win that? I honestly don't remember either, dude.
I think it was relatively early on in the tournament. I want to say it was on like day 3 or 5, maybe. Ibushi beat Ospreay.
Okay.
So Ospreay hit Ibushi with a fucking hidden blade to the face and still lost. Jesus. Holy shit. Oh, God. I loved that match. That was so good. Thank you, though, Mark. I really liked that question. That was a really different one, and I appreciated it. All right. Fourth question from Mark. How are WWE wrestlers given essential worker status when they are independent contractors and not employees?
I don't know. The whole system's screwed up, Mark. That's really all I can say.
One word, bribery.
There you go.
Fifth and final question from Mark. Who do you think is abducting the cruiserweights, and what do you think their intentions are?
I think their intentions are to make a stable, but I have no idea who's doing it.
I think that El Hijo de Fantasma is the one doing it, and I think that his intention is to brainwash them so that they will listen to his every command and help him win championships.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty good theory.
Yeah. All right. Next set of questions, Rotten Butter. He was a little late this time around, but we got to you. Rotten Butter, he had 3. First question is the usual, but he did specifically say Tiger King and others.
Okay. Let's see. I've watched the latest season of Wentworth with the family on Netflix.
I mean,
that was
you watched Tiger King, right?
Yeah, we did watch Tiger King. Yeah, we didn't watch the special after the season because I just wasn't interested. So yeah, but we did fucking latest season of Wentworth. That was cool. I know you and I have watched like the Rick and Morty trailer for the episodes dropping May 3rd.
Dude, that's on Sunday.
Yeah, it is. What else have me and the family watched? Let's see. So we did Wentworth. We did Hunters on Amazon Prime. That was an okay show. That was actually pretty interesting.
I want to watch that, low key.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. What else did we watch? I feel like we've been burning through shows.
You again. Do you want to actually talk about what you thought about Tiger King since you watched it?
They're all terrible. They're all terrible people. I really, it was awful. There's nothing more to say than that, honestly. They're all shit bags. They're just different shades of shit.
Rotten Butter said fucking everyone watched Tiger King. Guess what, Rotten Butter? I didn't. I held out. I am the one.
Oh wow, it's so rare to have Rotten Butter actually in the chat while we answer these questions. Holy shit, that's kind of sending me low key. Yeah. We did Castlevania Season 3, which was amazing.
Nice. That's an right?
Beg pardon?
That's an anime, right?
That is an anime, yes. Nice. That is an anime. So yeah, we did that. So we did Castlevania. What other shows did we do? Well, I know we've played Rocket League. We've done a lot of YouTube content, you and I. We didn't you just say that we watched a movie recently? I'm trying to think.
No, we really haven't, dude. We haven't watched any.
We've just done a lot of YouTube lately. I feel like
a lot of YouTube.
I know we restarted. I mean, we kind of dropped it, but we did start BoJack Horseman for you, which has been pretty cool. We did do one episode of Beastars, but we didn't continue that because I know you weren't feeling that. What was that?
I said, yeah, it was fucking weird.
So let me see what else. Again, we haven't started the latest season of Money Heist, which I can't wait to do. Yeah, I'm really. It's weird that I'm struggling. Oh, we did October Faction on Netflix. That was a pretty interesting show.
I don't know what that is.
Let me see what else. I wonder if we did anything else on Amazon. I don't think we did. We've done a lot of Netflix stuff. We did Dirty Money. I think we did an episode or 2 of that.
Gotta love Dirty Money.
Yeah. I've played some 3D pinball. I've done that. I've listened to some lectures. I've gotten more reading in, which feels amazing.
3D pinball. That's incredible.
That game is so addicting, bro.
That's a throwback to middle school, brother.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Evanescence came out with a new song. I didn't really care for it that much. Yeah, man. What about you? How about you take over, Beck? Because I really am struggling to think of a lot of stuff, and I know we did, but it's like I don't know why it feels like such a fucking blur. But
dude, you know what it is? I think it's because of just the massive volume of YouTube content that we've been watching lately. I really do think.
Yeah.
Because like we've watched, I mean, just series on YouTube. Like we haven't even really been watching series on like Netflix and stuff. I mean, we have, just not as much. Like let me pull up Netflix again because I had it pulled up earlier, but now Netflix. But now I had it closed down. So let me pull up Netflix again because it did say like watch again. It had like a watch again section for stuff that we've watched recently, and it had like BoJack and Beastars and all that shit in it. But just as far as YouTube goes, we've been watching a lot of Kana-chan TV. We watch Reika Psyche every time she uploads a video. We watch Tearzu every time he uploads a video. We've been keeping up with Hermitcraft Season 7. We watch New Rockstars on a very regular basis. We watch Beyond the Trailer every now and then. She does great analysis. She's more of like she's more of an analyst. I feel like, but she more analyzes the business side of movies, whereas New Rockstars more analyzes like almost like the kayfabe side. Like they're trying to like pick apart and see like what certain storylines in movies are what direction they're going and stuff like that. Whereas Grace from Beyond the Trailer is more about the business side and like who's getting cast in what role and what movies are making decisions that are going to help them at the box office and all that stuff. So I like that we kind of have those two different sides of the same coin. I don't remember if it was this month, but I did go back and rewatch Love, Death, and Robots from the beginning, and that show holds the fuck up big time, and I honestly, low-key, have been kind of aching to watch it again. It's that good. I love it, and I cannot wait for season 2. It cannot get here soon enough. Was this month our Adam Ruins Everything binge, or was that last month?
That might have been last month, dude. Again, it's all starting to run together for me, but I do think that was last month.
Okay. I've been watching a lot of Pokemon X and Y this month.
That's true. We did the latest video of Pokemon, like what's the series called?
Twilight Wings. Twilight Wings.
Yeah. Twilight Wings, yeah.
Yeah, we've been keeping up with Pokemon Twilight Wings. We've been also keeping up with Left, Right. You know, we watch Up, Down, Down. But, speaking of Up, Down, Down, Rollout Season 3 has been incredible. Season 3, Episode 2 of Rollout might be the singular YouTube video that I have laughed at the most in my life.
Yeah, I was hearing Ashton straight up cat. Like, he was really enjoying it.
It was really dude, Freddie Prinze Jr. is the best thing that's ever happened to Rollout.
Yeah, absolutely.
So good. Watched a lot of Bernie Sanders and Robert Reich videos this month on YouTube. As far as watched the draft just a few days ago. That was interesting. A lot of picks were made. I'm not going to try and say either way whether they were good or bad. In case I don't think we actually let me check real quick. I don't think we got any questions about the draft, so I'll just throw it out there. I think that Denver and Dallas had the best drafts, especially Denver. I think that Denver did the most to help their team. I think that Denver, if Drew Lock doesn't absolutely suck balls, I think Denver is easily a playoff team this year. So I'm very excited to watch them this year because of their weapons that they've now surrounded Locke with. And I'm also really excited for Dallas because they added CeeDee Lamb to an already stacked offense. So who the hell do you cover? Like, the 2020 Dallas Cowboys could very easily be as good of an offense as the 2016 Atlanta Falcons. That's how good they look, on paper at least. John already mentioned the Rick and Morty Season 4 trailer for the other 5. Let's see. I watched some evolution documentaries. I think that's how I say it. Documentaries. At the beginning of the month about, Charles Darwin and, certain things that have evolved over time, like eyes and venom and stuff like that. And that's always very interesting to me. That and like dinosaur stuff. Been keeping up with some of the TJPW wrestlers on YouTube because like Yuki Kamifuku and Mina Shirakawa have YouTube channels. Speaking of YouTube channels, I also subscribed to Aleister Black and Zelina Vega's channel and watched a bunch of their videos. Let's see, what else? We watched an entire playthrough of Undertale by a woman on YouTube named Alicia Dweeb. That was fun.
Yeah, it was. That was good shit.
It's like 11 parts, and each part is between 50 minutes and an hour. So it's like a 10-hour playthrough of Undertale, and she uploaded them like daily. So came out pretty quick. Let's see, what else? I already mentioned TJPW. I've been on a little bit of a popped anthology kick lately. I've been listening to that a lot lately. A recent trail. I recently kind of rediscovered Lindsay Ellis. She put out a video relatively recently called Why Is Cats? And I watched it from beginning to end. So there's that. We recently again, this kind of comes back to me having watched the draft, because this trailer actually played during the draft and it caught my attention. There's a show coming out in, I think, late May, like May 26th or 7th or something like that, called Bark Skins from National Geographic, and it looks dope as hell. I've never seen lumberjacks look cooler than they look in this show. It's crazy how good the show looks. If you've never heard of the show Barkskins, or if you didn't watch the draft and you have no clue what I'm talking about, just Google Barkskins trailer, literally Barkskins. Show looks amazing. Like, historical fiction never looked so good, right? I have watched both Guardians of the Galaxy movies for like probably an 8th or 9th time this month. They're both just so good. I love them. I adore both of them so much. Let's see. Trying to think of anything else. Oh yeah, the other Lindsay Ellis thing that I watched was her like 11-part, which she hasn't even finished yet. She still has like 2 or 3 videos to upload. She did like an 11-part, or she started an 11-part analysis of the Transformers series, which is a reason why I've been watching Transformers movies this month. Or the other way around. I might have decided to watch that series because I've been watching Transformers. I honestly don't even remember which came first. So let's see. God. This is all like just YouTube though. Like, that's the thing. That's what we do. Like, we watch so much more YouTube than we watch TV or movies, or at least on my end, I do. I can't speak for both of us. Watched Pokemon Origins again this month. I do a lot of rewatching, I'm starting to realize. Basically, if I love something, I stick with it, baby.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah. Oh God, that's right. Just so that you all know, this question in May is going to be a lot more interesting, because in May we're going to start watching season 7 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and we are most likely going to start and finish watching all 3 books of Avatar The Last Airbender, because they come to Netflix on May 15th, and I can't wait. I'm losing my mind over it. Very excited.
I know you're freaking hyped about that, yeah.
Well, dude, you gotta realize it's probably been like 9 or 10 years since I've last watched that show in full.
Yeah.
So I think I have a reason to be excited about it. Was that a laugh? Did you just laugh?
No, because I saw some. No, wait, let me clarify. I am not laughing at you, sir. Everything is beautiful in this space. I just saw something on my main page that reminded me of something else I did this month, because you want to speak about YouTube. I don't know if people are familiar with the PBS show Liberty's Kids, which is like this big thing talking about the Revolutionary War. It's like this animated show. And the main theme song is done by Aaron Carter and some woman whose name escapes me. And like, it's funny watching it as a leftist, because like, obviously they can't answer back. It's a fucking show. But I'm watching one episode of it because it really wasn't the worst thing that PBS produced. They actually do some okay stuff, especially if you're going to watch it with like a younger audience. And, this French character named Henri, they're talking about the king, because the tension's just growing between England and America. And he says something. Oh, he's like, I wish somebody would give me a minute alone in a room with that King George. And then the one woman, I forget what, Sarah's her name. She's British. She's like, that's no way to talk about our king. And he's like, he's not my king. I'm French. And I'm like, oh, don't worry. Your revolution's coming. And it's just funny looking at all that. Like, this is what quarantine has done to me, is that like, I'm actually like, because again, it's just focused on the Revolutionary War, but what we know came after it, I'm just like, oh, no worry, everybody gets a turn. And one of the lyrics of the song that makes me laugh as a leftist, because I just picture I'm going nuts over here. I picture it playing in the background while we lay siege to the means of production, and we just roll the guillotines out. Is a word now to the wise: the world was made to change, and each day is a surprise. And I just picture us saying that to all the corporations and CEOs as they're like, what's happening? Don't you know? The world was made to change. Surprise! Bam! And it's just, I don't know. It's a kid show. It's innocent. I have deeply rooted psychological problems, but I'm just looking at these characters and I'm like, you don't even know. Like, you don't even know what's coming right now. And it's kind of amusing to watch, honestly. It's always interesting to watch a show where you know more than the protagonists. It's really entertaining.
Isn't that called dramatic irony?
Dude, it is. And there are times where, like, you really feel like an asshole doing it because there's another character, a guy that bought his freedom named Moses. Cool dude. I mean, I fucking stand. He's a badass. And he's just like, well, I hope they abolish slavery in the Constitution. And I'm like, ooh, Moses.
Whoops.
Yeah, we got to talk about that. And they actually do some characters cool. Like there's a Thomas Paine episode. And it's like, you even watch that, and again, it's a fucking kid show, and you're like, wow, we fell all the way off. Because he'll even, like, openly say in the show, our war isn't with England. It's against all privilege. It's against any system where people have unjust advantage over others. And I'm just sitting there like,
wait, didn't Thomas Paine write Common Sense?
He did. Look at you. That's right, actually. That was actually the focus of the episode, was him writing Common Sense.
Yeah, dude. That's I remember that from school, first of all. But second of all, that was referenced in Hamilton. Angelica Schuyler says, I've been reading Common Sense by Thomas Paine, and then something about I'm incensed or I'm insane, and you want a revolution, I want a revelation. It's like the whole thing is literally, the name of the song is The Schuyler Sisters. She brings that shit up and everything, and she, talking about how she's going to try to convince him to put women in the sequel and all that stuff. Like, they addressed that in Hamilton. So it's
and the crazy thing, just one more thing about Thomas Paine. I mean, the Social Security Administration actually credits his writing the Agrarian Society to be the start of, like, a social welfare system. Like, he advocated these ideas. Like, it's so funny how we talk about the founding fathers. I've actually been wanting to read Thomas Paine's work, and I want to be like, we need to bring this man back because we fell all the way off. But they actually got a star-studded cast to do this fucking show, dude. Like, they did Whoopi Goldberg for one of the voices. Walter Cronkite was Benjamin Franklin. They got, like, some pretty notable people.
Yeah.
Oh God, the Benedict Arnold episodes make me die laughing, especially because I'm clearly delirious right now. I didn't know Zen could get me to delirium even faster than anger. That's kind of concerning, because he's just like, oh, if Congress shows me my respect, I'll come back and fight for their army. And I'm like, ooh, Benjamin or Benedict. Yeah, that's not gonna happen. But let me talk to you about what's actually gonna happen.
How does it feel to know that you're gonna go down in history as the person that people get called when they basically betray somebody?
Actually, I'm so glad that I made this public. I had no intention of even taking it to this level, but, like, I'm so glad I did, because now you telling me about dramatic irony, I'm like, oh, that's right, it is a thing. I'm almost tempted to, like, watch the show again, but watch it from that vantage point so I can shake my head every time something happens, like, and we're gonna pay for that in 50 years, or, like, whatever. And, like, you fucking idiots. So, just, like, whatever. But yeah. Good shit. I was working out, and I don't know why, but those lyrics hit me so funny. I'm like, this needs to happen when the communist revolution happens. Just Aaron Carter blaring on the loudspeakers with, again, a woman whose name I can't remember, and just this upbeat tone of everything, and then just, like, I don't know, businesses being sieged, Jeff Bezos, like, pissing himself. Like, it'd be amazing. I mean, each day is a surprise, right? So yeah, that's what I did this month.
I watched Kung Fu Panda earlier this month.
You're precious. I love you. Okay. Yeah, Kung Fu Panda's a great movie.
Jesus Christ. John and I also like to keep up with Donkey, Video Game Donkey on YouTube, and we recently watched it's a 2-part Priscilla Kelly mini documentary by Spinebuster on YouTube, so they, check them out. They actually, Spinebuster on YouTube, they only have 589 subscribers, but they've also only uploaded those 2 videos. So those 2 videos, the 2 parts of the Priscilla Kelly story on YouTube, are the only videos that Spinebuster has ever uploaded. I'm very interested to see who else they get, to do stories about, or if it's just going to be the 2 videos and that's it. But yeah, I'm very, very interested in follow-ups. But the Priscilla Kelly story that we watched yesterday was really interesting. We learned a lot about her.
Yeah, we did. Learning's
great.
Oh,
we've also been keeping up with Taste of Tennille. She started uploading again.
Yes, and that's great to see. God, I love food-based channels. Oh, so good.
We've also, God damn it, Rotten Butter. we've also been keeping up with Momo Watanabe playing a game on YouTube. I honestly think it's just called Judge Eyes, but it's probably more than just that. But every title has Judge Eyes in it. It's Judge Eyes something. Let's see. Let me use the old Google Translate machine to see if I can get an actual proper name for this game. Give me Google Translate. Judge Eyes. Grim Reaper's Will. That's a badass name. Holy shit. That's so good. But the game's really interesting. It almost gives it like a Yakuza, the Yakuza series. It almost gives me that kind of vibe. But yeah, that's interesting. So, yeah, we've been keeping up with that as well. And I think I'm finally out of something of stuff that we've been watching, like visually. Now I get to talk about things I've been listening to. I discovered Biba Doobie this month.
Yeah, and then he passed her on to me, and yeah, it's great. It's very soothing and relaxing.
Yeah.
Good shit.
Her voice is absolutely heavenly. It's not even like she's got like one of the best vocal talents I've ever heard or anything. Her voice is just so easy to listen to, and like even if you're not in the mood to actively like listen to music and get into the music and sing along and that kind of stuff, it's perfect for the background. It's really good to just kind of have playing in the background while you're doing something else, and as John would say, putter to. Plus, I've also been listening to more recent music, which I think Biba Doobie is relatively recent, but the stuff that I've been listening to, I started listening to her stuff that goes back to like 2015, I think. But actual more recent stuff would be, Usher. Usher dropped a new single called Don't Waste My Time. Terror Jr. dropped a single called Fun that I fucking love. Break My Heart by Dua Lipa. Red Desert by 5 Seconds of Summer. Baby Girl by Bryce Vine. I Love Yous by Haley Steinfeld. Wish You Were Sober by Conan Gray. Level of Concern, new 21 Pilot song. And finally, a new Dove Cameron song. I'm really digging Dove Cameron's music career. I have another song on here by her that I really like called Out of Touch. And most recently, she dropped a song called Remember Me, and I really like both of them. She's got some good stuff. John, do you know who Dove Cameron is?
No, I don't think so.
Do you remember Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. season 5? After they got back from space in the future, the blonde girl, the villain, the blonde girl.
Wasn't she that young girl that was the mom of somebody else mired in some shit and like they had a conflict? Is that the one?
No,
you're saying
no.
Girl.
No. She was the villain. She was the one that tried injecting herself with gravitonium and went fucking crazy.
Yeah, that's who I think I'm talking about. I think we're talking about the same person. We might just be talking past each other because I think I know who you're talking about.
Okay, because it sounded to me like you were talking about Robin. But
because
her name in the show was Ruby.
Yeah, but didn't Ruby like really admire Quake? Like have a poster of Quake in her room and stuff?
Yes.
Yeah, we're thinking about the same person. I may have just articulated that poorly. Yeah.
Yes, that is Dove Cameron.
Oh, wow, okay.
And she's dropped some pretty freaking good music over the course of the last few months, yeah.
Very cool.
Oh, and Chiefin actually just said that apparently the Judge Eyes series that we've been watching Momo play was made by the same team that made the Yakuza series, so it makes perfect sense that it would remind me of that. That's perfect.
Very cool. Yeah.
All right. I think that's a good place to call, other than just us keeping up with Stardom's literal daily streams at this point. I love that they're doing daily streams at this point. Today, they did a makeup tutorial with Julia, so that's going to be amazing. We're going to totally watch that tonight. And we just did the Oedo Tai 3-way call, and I think that's actually it so far. Then I think tonight, as in like like 6 a.m. tonight. Hana is going to do the thing that we were expecting her to do yesterday, but they fucked up on the live event. So we're going to have that then tomorrow night. So yeah, we're getting our Stardom content, even if it's not wrestling. We're still getting, these girls' personalities and that kind of stuff. So it's pretty cool. And I actually resumed my learning of Japanese last night because the power was out and I had nothing else to do. And it was just like, you know what? If I don't have anything else to do, I'm going to do this. And I had, one of the lessons downloaded to my phone, so I didn't need power in order to listen to it because my phone was charged to like 80%. So I just listened to it, and it actually helped me to go to sleep last night. And then today I re-listened to that same exact lesson fully awake so that it wouldn't go completely over my head. So I've resumed learning Japanese, so that's cool. And I think that us watching all of these Japanese streams between Stardom and TJPW have actually helped me a lot. I've started learning stuff through these streams that I didn't even learn from the lessons that I've been doing. So it's pretty cool.
Proud of you, man. Good shit.
And,
next question.
And following Yuki Kamifuku on Twitter helps a lot too, because she is literally a language teacher. She teaches Japanese people how to speak English and teaches English people how to speak Japanese. She teaches both. She's perfectly fluent in both, pretty much.
Very cool.
It's amazing. Cool. She's so good. Yeah. So I guess that's it. I guess that's the end of our Rotten Butter question. Man, those are always so long, and it's because I want to be thorough. Next question, though, is going to be a lot quicker because it's just for me, and Rotten Butter said, have you played Temtem? And if so, what are your thoughts on it compared to Pokemon? And if not, why did I bother wasting this question? Rotten Butter, I wouldn't have known if you hadn't already told me that you just thought it was funnier to waste the question than to change it to something else. So there you go.
All right, next question.
Because I've actually looked into Temtem and I've seen it and I've, listened to people talk about it, and I just have zero interest. And, honestly, a lot of it is to do with the fact that I can't just play a video game. I'm incapable of just casually playing a game. I'm the type of person that if I start playing a game, I dive in headfirst into the mechanics and I try and break the game. I try and figure out the most optimal way of beating the game and the fastest way and the most efficient way and all that. And frankly, I already have like 3 or 4 games that I'm knee deep or waist deep or neck deep, however you want to put it, in already. And until I actually find the answers that I'm looking for with those games, I'm not going to dive into anything else. So right now I'm focused on Robopon 2 and Dragon Warrior Monsters and Dragon Warrior and Golden Sun. And I think that's it for now. Yeah, those are the big 3. So there you go. Those are the games that I'm focused on right now, just mastering. That was second. Third question from Rotten Butter. Did Carol Baskin kill her husband?
I believe she did, but I have no ill will about it. It seemed like a very tumultuous relationship. Maybe she felt like that was the only way out. I ain't gonna judge, but I think she did it.
I think she did it, but I don't blame her, is basically what you're saying.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, my God. Okay. Next set of questions DBK asked for. First up is for both of us. In WWE Backstage, they did a top 5 draft picks from the WWE roster without NXT. Excuse me, I think I have the hiccups. Without NXT, so I ask, which is your top 5? Now, because he didn't provide more context here, I am just going to kind of fill in. Let's say if we were building a promotion from scratch, who would your first 5 draft picks be from WWE? And John, because I don't want this to be just free reign, you get whoever the hell you want, let's compete a little bit. Let's go back and forth, each picking one, no repeats.
Okay. And just to clarify, we don't get to pick from NXT, right? Because I thought I
Correct.
heard in the question.
You cannot pick from NXT, unfortunately.
Okay. Damn. Then you know what? I'm gonna go Andrade first.
Sasha Banks.
Daniel Bryan.
Drew McIntyre.
Kairi Sane.
Asuka.
Did you say Bailey?
No.
Bailey.
Okay. fourth pick. This is where we're getting difficult because I had everything planned up until this point. Sammy, did you already pick Sami Zayn or did you pick Daniel Bryan?
No, I picked Daniel Bryan. I think.
Then I will take Sami Zayn.
What pick is this for me? Is this 4 or 5?
5.
Fuck it, The Fiend.
Ooh, okay. And my 5th and final pick. I mean, you didn't pick him, John Morrison.
Yeah. I know that's surprising people. He is a bit on the older side. I wanted to try and keep my roster relatively young, I guess. I don't know. So
yeah,
but he's an amazing talent. So yeah.
So my roster, I have Drew as my top face. I have John Morrison and Sami Zayn as his foils. And then I have Asuka versus Sasha Banks as my women's match that can just go on forever because who would ever want to see anything else?
Absolutely.
And you have, who is your other woman? You have Bayley and who's your
Kyrie.
Kyrie, of course, Kyrie. So you have Bayley and Kyrie. That's another great matchup, and that can also be like a battle of the elbow drops. And then The Fiend, and who are your other two men?
Daniel Bryan.
Who was your first pick? I forget.
Andrade.
Yeah. Okay. So The Fiend, Bryan, Andrade. I like that though. That's interesting. You've got more of like a diverse because like you've got like small, medium, and large. Like Bryan's small, Andrade's kind of in the middle, and then Fiend is huge. So
yeah,
that's pretty cool. All right, let's move on. Second question from DBK, and that's what the second question was actually. So I actually unintentionally skipped DBK's first question, and I went right to his second. So let's do his actual first question. What is your favorite wrestling quote ever?
Happy championship, bitch.
God. Honestly, though, I think mine is ding, ding, you son of a bitch. Heath Slater said that to Rusev, I want to say.
I feel like every time you recite that quote, it always ends with the laughing fit. So that actually makes sense.
That's what I'm saying, dude. It's so good. Either that or, and this one might even be better, I don't give a shit about your kids. That was, honestly, I might actually have to go with that one. I don't give a shit about your kids from Brock. Why is Heath Slater involved in all of the funniest quotes in wrestling history? What the hell?
Yeah, he really was a solid undercard guy that just kind of flew under the radar. And if you give it enough time, and if we ask this question again, I mean, Drew's very calm delivery of, it's pretty clear you're full of shit, was pretty fucking great. Seth's face, like somebody ran over his dog or something. Why?
that was the face on Al Snow's face after the Big Boss Man fed him pepper.
Oh, that was great. All right, next question.
Oh, I like Foster's Vince saying, "Life sucks, and then you die."
Yeah.
Let's see. Third question from DBK for Johnny Scumbag. When are you going to create a wrestling school for heels, and who's going to be the teacher?
I mean, when the 1% gets toppled and everybody's allowed to pursue their dreams, so half past never, probably. And as far as who would teach, I mean, you mentioning Big Boss Man, I definitely know why he's dead. That's inconvenient.
Yeah. Holy shit.
Yeah. I guess I really didn't expect you to have that reaction. I guess I would teach, but that seems almost hubristic, I'm not a wrestler. I guess Zach Gibson would be there. Heel Daniel Bryan has got to be in there because he gets a great amount of heat.
MJF.
He'd be an understudy only because he's so young. I would want more mature, but then again, I think Zach Gibson's young too. So I want a mature heel. So yeah, that Bryan I think would be the head coach, and then MJF.
Zach Gibson's only 29. I did not realize he was that young.
Yeah, I knew he wasn't 30 yet. Zach Gibson and MJF, especially MJF, would be understudy types. Who are other really good heels that we like?
Well, let me say this. Can I just make a suggestion?
Sure.
Because we know there are multiple types of heels. You're more focusing on the smarmy piece of shit heel. Let's also talk about monster heels. and how Mil Muertes would be the perfect teacher for that.
Mil Muertes would be great for that. I feel like for a teacher's aide for Brian, I would want to do Jay White because Jay White's a great heel gaijin.
Dude, honestly, he could be again though. He's so young. He's like 27, I think.
Which is why I put him in like the under position, but like directly under Brian, whereas the other guys are waiting in the wings.
Imagine actually going to this school though. Like,
I would have Dolph Ziggler employed because we always need a negative example of what not to do, and that face. So I'd be like,
I was gonna say though, just like imagine going to this school and having to put up with all of the teachers and all of their understudies' shit.
Yeah, I mean the bullying would be
awful. You would never even want to stay there. That's like, no, I'm not interested.
Yeah,
I'd be a dick by doing it myself, not from living it through being the victim of other people being dicks.
Yeah, you make a really great point. The bullying would be exceptional, so I'm definitely secure there. Yeah, no, I think it'd be a great school. We'd all learn how to be horrible to each other, and it'd be a very abusive, gaslighting environment. I really don't think you'd get a finer education elsewhere. I think it'd be great.
All right, let's move on. DBK's fourth and final question is just for me, and he wants to know, how should Jon Moxley's road to the IWGP Heavyweight / Intercontinental Championship be booked? I think that as long as he is under contract with AEW, he's never going to touch the heavyweight title. So we'll say Intercontinental. The current Intercontinental champion is Goto, right?
Is it? It's Naito, isn't it? Naito 2 belts.
Oh, fuck yeah, that's right. Yeah. Oh my god. Okay. So, you know what? That's even better then. Moxley gets stripped of the U.S. title because the U.S. stays shut down for longer than Japan, and New Japan wants to get their shit back on the road. But when Moxley finally does come back, when you know everything's settled down in the U.S., which for all we know could be in 2028 at this point. But when everything is settled down in the U.S. and Moxley is able to return to New Japan, I want Jay White to be the champion because I want Moxley versus White for the Intercontinental title. I want Moxley to come in and almost be like this foreign hero, oddly enough, who wants to come in and save New Japan from the bad foreigner and be like, listen, not all foreigners are like this. I am a foreigner and I'm going to be a good person and I'm going to be a good guy and I'm going to do well. And he does, and he's respectful to the referees, like we saw that one time when he like bowed to Red Shoes and stuff like that, and he's just a good foreigner. And then he wins the title, and like 2 or 3 months into his title run, he goes back into being a full-blown piece of shit heel.
Yeah, I actually.
So the good guy foreigner thing was literally just a tactic to get to the championship picture and win it.
Nice.
All right, are we ready to move on to our next and final set of questions for the day?
Sure.
Alex Foster got his questions in last.
We love you, Alex.
All right, so first question from Foster is just for you, John. How would you create a character Naruto game? He wants gameplay, story, etc.
Ooh, gameplay, story, etc. Okay.
Create a character for Naruto.
Okay, so wait, because being Zen, I've clearly also learned that I'm delirious and maybe even forgetful. So it's create a character. So like I have to like give the character like a backstory. Is it like a create a character function in a game, like a wrestling game? It's like create your own ninja kind of thing. Because that's how I interpreted it.
That's how I would say you're like, you know, whatever elements that almost every major character in Naruto has, take those elements and allow people to customize those elements about their own character. You know what I mean?
Okay. So
like if we were talking about like create a character, Avatar: The Last Airbender game, I would want to be able to customize their look, their garb, and their bending style. All that stuff.
Right. I'm the same way. Like, obviously, you'd want to start with the basics. You'd want to choose what village they come from in Naruto. Is it Sand Village, Leaf Village, Sound Village, etc.? Also, because we learned this in Shippuden, I want to take, both mythos together. You want to... I want to be very careful with my wording here because this is a good question from Alex, and I don't want to give him a shitty answer. You want to allocate attributes based on what your ninja is going to be proficient in. There's taijutsu, there's ninjutsu, there's genjutsu. So you would allocate a certain number of points. Like say you had, I don't know, 100 points maybe, I guess, and you do 20 in taijutsu, but then 70 in ninjutsu and 10 in genjutsu. Where you're going to be really weak in genjutsu and okay at taijutsu, but your big thing is ninjutsu, so you're going to want to focus on that. Then in Shippuden, we know that there are different styles. There is wind style chakra, lightning style, earth style, water and fire. You would have to choose what styles, and I would give them up to, because I think you could be 2 styles at once, I think. So I would allow your character to have 2 different styles. And then based on what you choose and based on where you're really leaning. So again, our character in my example is very heavily ninjutsu, and I'm going to just say earth and water style, right? You train with people. That are partial to those styles in the Naruto verse. So your story is very unique based on what kind of ninja you're going to be. And with each mission you complete or whatever, you get like EXP that would maybe have like this chakra symbol or something that you could allocate to different places. And when you hit a certain benchmark, you unlock a new jutsu. Ooh. And you do that. So it would be kind of like Pokemon in that way, because the more Pokemon battles you have, right, the more your EXP goes up, and then you learn new skills at certain levels, right? Yeah. It'd be a very similar thing in Naruto. Like the more lessons you complete, the more missions you do for your village, the more EXP you gain, the more you're able to allocate it. And then again, when you hit a certain mark, like
what level do they get to unlock their quirks?
Their jutsus, I would say we would do it by increments of. Because people can have a lot
honestly,
of
dude, I was trying to be just really obnoxious and just mixing up My Hero Academia with it.
Oh, okay. I thought you were, but again, like
my next question was going to be, okay, and what about their devil fruits?
Oh yeah, look at you. No, Foster, you're beautiful. You have no reason to apologize, but I hope I'm not giving you a shit answer right now. So yeah, I would have gameplay I would have it be like an open world type thing. You can gain EXP either by going to your designated teacher and like doing lessons that way and like hand-to-hand combat and jutsu and stuff like that. But the really big EXP goes in doing missions for your village. And if you do an S rank mission, which an S rank mission would be like
save the world.
Well, saving the world, like transporting a Kage safely to another village for a summit, say, right? Because that could be like assassination attempts, stuff like that. The higher your mission rank, the more EXP you get, the more jutsu you may be able to unlock.
Dude, this answer's really inspired. I'm so proud of you.
I know. I'm just trying to do the best I can.
You're doing amazing.
I honestly think I would do something different. Now, this may be a bit bold, right? But I think when you reach a certain level in EXP and jutsu, like say if you have a skill set of a minimum of 20 jutsu, then we can dovetail into an actual story mode. Like you've graduated, now you're able to take on the big bads in the Naruto verse, like Orochimaru, Kabuto, like all those villains. And then it goes from like a character-based game where you're leveling up this character doing these missions to, it's almost like, I would almost make it like a 2-disc game, but it's like 2 separate games in one, because it's a continuation. You need the first part to do the second part, because then the second part is actually like an open world Naruto game where you're doing a main story leading up to the 4th Great Ninja War, fighting all the villains and this and that, but maybe you replace, and you know what, it's perfect, because the whole thing is about getting Sasuke back to the Leaf Village, so you're kind of a stand-in for Sasuke, like what Sai was in the Shippuden show, except it's your character. So you're fighting with Naruto and Sakura and the whole village, or because I said you could pick your own village, maybe because Garo was abducted at one point and he's had a lot of shit in the show, you're kind of doing the Leaf Village and you're doing a lot of missions, to protect him because he's the Kaze Kage and stuff like that. It would have to be very specific to the village and everything, but yeah, I would do 2 different games really in like a 2-disc set. The first is like the leveling up and the crafting, very meticulous for people that like leveling up and grinding and all that. And then the other one would be like an actual legitimate like campaign, like this open world story mode that just really shows like how great your ninja is. And then if you lose,
I'm
you have to go back. And
this straight up to me sounds like, from a gameplay perspective, very Maple Story-like, because you're basically giving people an option as to whether they want to focus more on quest lines or if they want to just focus on the grinding aspect, and that's very Maple Story to me. And I actually, I'm assuming it would have way better graphics than Maple Story, and obviously the character design would be a lot more intimate than Maple Story 2, because Maple Story is literally just pick a class and you're basically set on one path for the entire game, whereas with this, it sounds like more dynamic and more fluid and flexible, where you can pick like whether you min-max or whether you're more balanced or stuff like that.
Yeah, I think really what I'm trying to achieve, because I feel like I always bungle these questions because I'm never really clear about what I'm trying to achieve.
No bungling has been had this time around. You're doing great.
Hooray. Because I liked, here's the thing. I liked the Xenoverse idea, the very first one from DBZ, where you could be like Boo species or a Namekian or something like that. But I feel like I would want to do something like that, but your choices, even from the outset of what village and everything you pick, actually matter. Like, yes. I wouldn't want it to be purely aesthetic. You know what I mean? I wouldn't want you to be like Rain Village garb and stuff like that, but then you're still doing stuff in the Leaf Village and you have no roots. Like, if you're going to pick something, I don't just want you to pick an aesthetic. I want you to pick roots.
You basically want to pick your early gameplay.
Exactly. And I even want to go beyond types, right? Like you would in Pokemon. Like, it's not just being a type. You're pretty much, I think, to try and put it in a soundbite, you're choosing what history you're embracing. Like, if I'm going to be a Rain Village ninja, I'm embracing the history of my village. And maybe it's horrible. Maybe we've done like war crimes and shit, and I have to make my village better, or I have to rehabilitate the image of my village by doing more missions and doing more goodwill for the rest of the villages out there. You know, if you're doing the Leaf Village, you're practically a superpower. Like that's canonized. That was the big focus of the show. I would hope that people would choose more minor villages to do more unique campaigns and more inspired campaigns to create a whole new kind of Naruto-verse that didn't really get its due in the show. So yeah, it's going beyond types and attributes and stuff like that. I would just I would just want to, you know, just do that and just kind of pick like anything you pick. It isn't just purely aesthetic. It's everything has consequences kind of thing from the outset. So yeah, it's kind of the Naruto game I think would be epic. A DBZ game, hell, a Mortal Kombat game that way. Yeah, I think there's a lot of potential there.
I mean, I already mentioned it, an Avatar: The Last Airbender game.
Hell yeah. I know somebody's working on an Avatar: The Last Airbender game, and God, if there was ever a game that needed to be made with how far graphics have come and how far gameplay has come with the right developers, you give people, I swear to God, no matter what system a good Avatar game would come out on, I would plead with my family, even if it was a Switch, can we get a second Switch, because I want to play this shit all the fucking time. Like, it'd be so good. It'd be so good.
Yeah, there was an Avatar: The Last Airbender game for, I want to say, Game Boy Advance, and it was actually pretty cool. It almost reminded me a little bit of Golden Sun because of the way the puzzles worked, because it was like, you know, you could like make an ice pillar with Katara, and then you could like move it around with Aang's wind and that kind of, like, it was pretty well designed, but it was also like a pretty standard RPG, which I know you would not be into.
Right.
So, anyway. Rotten Butter thinks you should start playing Dungeons and Dragons.
You know, we have that in the house, and honestly, seeing Roland and stuff, maybe I would be good at it. I don't think I would want to be like a DM. I think it'd be too much responsibility, but I think
Leave the DMing to Chris. He's probably done it before.
Yeah. So
I'm assuming he's the reason that you guys have it in the house in the first place, right?
Yeah, and honestly, given lifestyle changes I've been making lately, like abstaining a lot from the computer, like I only got on here like I think a little over 2 hours ago. I'm spending a lot more time like away from the computer. Maybe this would be the time to be like, hey, let's break the D&D out, do a campaign. So I don't know, maybe that'll happen in a couple months. Next question from Foster. Yeah,
it's actually just for me. He asks, what characters in the Pokemon games / anime would you be friends with / hate / barely acknowledge? I would barely acknowledge Ash for sure, because, you know, quite frankly, he's not enough of a winner to even be on my radar. I would certainly hope that I could be friends with the actual good trainers like Cynthia and Diantha and Steven Stone and Red, who is just a badass. Fuck Lance. Lance sucks. I would say I would probably hate Paul and Silver, because they're both like these pompous douchebags that talk such a big game and think they're such hot shit, but lose constantly. So yeah, I would want to be like, I guess I'm kind of positioning myself as you know, sort of one of the Pokemon elites if I'm friends with all these champions. And the people that I either hate or barely acknowledge are the people who are like below, trying to challenge for shit. So there you go. And as far as like actual like anime characters, honestly, I think that the anime characters that I have found to be the least grating are the XY companions, Clement and Serena. I've really enjoyed both of them. Misty was okay, but I wouldn't necessarily want to be hanging out with somebody that would be prone to dragging me around by my ear if I would do anything even remotely out of line. I definitely wouldn't want to hang out with Brock because he's just way too horny all the fucking time. Um, Tracy, I think was the guy's name that drew stuff. He would probably annoy me. May was kind of cool, but a little too childish. I think Max was May's little brother, and he was like a more annoying version of Clement. So no thanks. Yeah, I think I would just like as far as the actual like companion characters, I would probably just roll with Serena and Clement. And I've even seen like Iris. I will say Iris seemed pretty cool too. So I think I would like Iris too. I'd probably hang with her too, but sure as hell not. Fucking the dude that always makes food puns. That dude was annoying as hell. I forget his name, but it was the Gen 5 male companion. I think he was the first gym leader that season. He was so was it Silent? Silent. I think it was Silent was the guy's name, and he annoyed the shit out of me. So yeah. And yeah, Foster, James on honestly Jesse and James, I would want really I would really want to like befriend both of them and try and provide them with the resources that they need to be able to quit their jobs with Team Rocket, because they seem like such genuinely good people who are just stuck in really awful jobs that make them do terrible things. Because like the one episode that I saw on XY, Jessie, like I don't even remember how it happened, but she ended up in a lake and she got washed up on the shore, and some dude found her and tried to nurse her back to health, and she was ready to throw all of it away. Fuck Team Rocket. She wants to live with this dude. She wants to be a housewife. She's ready to give up her life as a criminal and be just like a normal person. And James saw her talking about it and was just like, okay. And rather than being like a dickbag and trying to like bring her back into Team Rocket, he just fucking ran away. Like, that's a good person. When you see somebody that you care about making a decision that they think is best for them and letting them make it and not trying to influence them to just stay with you. I love it.
Yeah, that was such a passionate, substantive answer, and obviously I'm so out of the lore, and I don't mean to, debase everything you just said, because that was just so much effort. But I'm just sitting here and just thinking that, like, I would just befriend Gary and we would just bully the shit out of Ash the entire time. I was about to say Ashton there, but yeah, just bully Ash the entire time. Like, I just keep having this image in my mind where Ash does really well in this Pokemon League, and, he's really proud of himself. And then me and Gary come
fucking eighth.
He comes in fucking eighth, but he's still like on the podium. I mean, it's like the bottom step. But me and Gary would just come out of nowhere, pants his ass, and shove him into the dirt. And then he was like, "Why are you doing this to me?" And we would just be like, "Shouldn't have been such a fucking nerd. It's your fault.
This is all your fault, Ash."
Exactly. Yeah, like, and I'd high five Gary at every turn and be like, "Man, Gary, that was so great." And like, we wouldn't even really be focused for a while on like being Pokemon trainers. We would just realize like it just feels so good to see Ash feel so unsafe.
That's just so us, though, because your answer is you want to be a dick to someone with another dick that you admire, and my answer is like, I want to be friends with all of the sort of revolutionary, like cutting edge people in the community. Like, yeah, that's so us. You're so focused on dick baggery, and I'm so focused on like pushing the mechanics,
And then, like, after I talk with Gary and maybe, like, I shed the skin and I show my more Zen calm side, I'd be like, Gary, it just, God, how else can we torment the man? Like, it's done. And then I'd probably reform. I mean, never making any restitution to Ash because it was his fault to begin with. I don't take any responsibility. And I'd probably go study with Professor Oak somewhere, and do some good.
I mean, yeah. I mean, if you're in tight with Gary, then obviously, yeah, that's Professor Oak's grandson. You're going to be in tight with Oak, too, for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So next question.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it's just so weird that somebody, in my case, so predisposed to like nerd and geek culture and like math and the mechanics and engineering and shit like that would be so quick and fast friends with somebody so predisposed to bullying.
Yeah. That's it's a crazy world.
And Rotten Butter said that I should read the Pokemon Adventure manga. I actually have read the first few chapters of the first book. I enjoyed it. I just need to make time to continue reading it because it does seem like right up my alley and something that I would really enjoy. I just, again, need to set aside the time to actually, just sit down and read it. So let's move on to our third question from Foster. His last three are all for both of us. Third question: what matches did you have to rewatch in order to like?
What? Did he say what 3 matches did I have to rewatch in order to like?
No, just what matches did you have to rewatch in order to like?
Oh, what matches did I have to rewatch in order to like?
Honestly, I think the perfect example for this is Okada Shibata for me, because the first time when we first watched it, I knew what it led to and I couldn't enjoy it. But in hindsight, watching it multiple times since then, I've been able to appreciate it for the absolute masterpiece that it is.
Yeah, I'll actually sign on to that, but for different reasons. Because when he was active, I wasn't nearly as invested in Shibata as you were. Yeah. And I would like to say in my defense that we all make mistakes. But rewatching it again, like, his style is just, I mean, it's tragic for obvious reasons, but in its own way, it's very inspired. Like, it really does bring you to when kayfabe was really protected. And there was almost, I don't want to say like this warrior mentality because that's cheesy as hell, but these guys were like, yeah, we're putting on a show. Like Shibata, man, that bitch maker slap, Jesus Christ.
Oh my God.
So I'd say that match for different reasons.
Bro, and I love too how on the bitch maker he licked his palm before delivering it. That kills me every time. Like, this dude is so detail oriented that he is about to deliver one of the most devastating looking moves in history, and just to add a little bit more kayfabe stank on it, he goes out of his way to lick his hand first. Holy shit.
He was the consummate pro, dude. He was the consummate fucking pro.
So good.
Yeah, I'm really trying to think, though, because it's hard for me to think like that I liked a match better watching it the second time, although I'm sure I've even mentioned stuff to you or you've mentioned it to me. It's hard to think about. Because I know sometimes I would like rewatch.
You know what? I'm going to say the Women's Rumble from this year. I enjoyed it more the second time around.
There you go. And
I think that's because, like, when we first watched it, I was so down as soon as Charlotte came out because I just felt like she was winning, and I spent most of the match anticipating Ronda's return. So a combination of those two things ruined the match in my initial watch of it. And then afterwards, I was able to just kind of accept, like, okay, Charlotte won, whatever. And then I was able to kind of know going forward that, okay, Ronda's not in it. And then in the subsequent watching, because I think I only rewatched it one time, of that match, I enjoyed it a lot more.
Yeah, it's a good pick.
Also add the Men's Royal Rumble too, because I was so angry about Brock running roughshod, but afterwards, having the knowledge that Drew would go on to win, it made me appreciate Brock's early run that much more in the match.
Yeah, great answers, man. Yeah, I really struggle with questions like this because it's just not really how I operate. Like, if I rewatch a match, it's because I already liked it to begin with. You know what I mean? I never really find myself being like, maybe I was too hard on this match, and maybe I should be. Maybe that would be a healthier attitude. So that gives me something to think about. But
you know what? Because we're talking about battle royals, I actually want to add in Aztec Warfare 2, because as amazing as Matanza's debut was, I felt like him beating everyone was kind of clunky the first time around. But in my rewatch, I kind of realized that each subsequent person that he eliminated just showed you how much better he was than the last person he eliminated. Because if I remember correctly, he eliminated like a jobber first, and then he eliminated someone with a little more name value, and then it was like 2 at a time, and then it was like Ray or something like that. He just kept stepping up in difficulty, and with each pinfall that he got, he also unveiled more of his moveset, and to me, it was just made like the perfect debut. It was amazing.
Yeah. Really, I would say I'd have to dig deep in the memory banks, but yeah, there have to be Lucha Underground matches that I like more on the rewatch, because we did do that just for a YouTube series. That would probably
well, I mean, I think in that case, I would say Puma defending the title against Phoenix in season 1, because I feel like I remembered liking that match in our first watch, but during our rewatch, I ended up naming it an underrated match of the year.
Yeah. So I'm not going to waste time trying to think of answers, because again, it's just not really my style to go back and rewatch matches that I didn't initially like. I normally just have an aversion to that stuff.
Yeah.
So next question from Foster.
In kayfabe, considering how dangerous NXT is nowadays, why do people keep signing there? No lawsuits either.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. What do you think, Ashton?
Well, I think that the reason that people keep signing there is because they think that they can just handle all the rigors of the danger in NXT. They just think, oh, there are luchadors kidnapping people. Psh, I don't have to worry about that. I can handle that. I can fight them off, like what Hijo del Fantasma did both of the last 2 weeks. So I think it's an ego thing. I think, honestly, mixing kayfabe with reality, I think that's why people sign to NXT universally, is because they think that they are better than maybe they really are, or maybe than just a lot of other people. Like, I think that you don't sign to NXT if you don't think a lot of yourself. So from a kayfabe standpoint, you think you can handle all those dangers, no problem. From a reality standpoint, you get instances like Deonna Purrazzo, who signed to NXT thinking that she was going to be given something to do, and then they were just like, yeah, but you're not Dakota Kai, you're not Tegan Knox, you're not Shotzi Blackheart, you're not all these other women that they valued above her, and she took offense to it, and then she wanted out, and they released her.
Yeah, yeah. I actually really like your interpretation, like why they keep signing there, despite the fact that security's lax, the parking lot's unsafe.
Hubris.
God, NXT's hubris. Yeah, I love sexy. All right, next question.
Our final question of our April Q&A: what wrestlers would make good/bad/interesting mall Santas?
Oh God.
I mean, the best possible mall Santa is Braun Strowman.
Yes, the best one. I think Corbin would be the worst one because he's just a douche and he's boring.
See, yeah, that works. That works because he's also like lanky, and Santa's supposed to be fat.
Yeah.
So it works on multiple levels. I would say the most interesting Santa would be the Fiend.
Yeah, that, or if you wanted to go interesting just from the ideological perspective, Brian, because I'm sure he believes in the love and goodwill of Christmas, but being the Santa and being a mall Santa.
Yeah,
consumerism. So I'd say Brian because of the tension ideologically.
Yeah, I think the Fiend would be the most interesting Santa, and I'm not saying Bray Wyatt. I'm literally saying the Fiend. You put the fake beard on over top of the mask and see how kids react to that.
Dude, that'd be great. And I'm just chuckling thinking about Brian as a mall Santa now because it's like, oh, don't you want a safer planet for Christmas? No, I want my own Megazord. And then he just turns heel. Listen, all of you are poisoned by Christmas. You see this store? How much carbon emissions do you think this store contributes to that's killing our planet? Your toys don't matter without a planet to live in. Like, yes.
Your toys are made out of plastic. Plastic is made from oil. Oil comes from the ground. It destroys our planet. How do you think those toys get delivered to this mall? On trucks that burn exhaust that put a bunch of carbon emissions into the place. Like, he could go everywhere.
Oh, and you little girl, you want designer clothes for Christmas? Let me tell you where those clothes are made, and then they just have to rip away. No, I cannot be silenced. No, you can't do this to me. I'm Daniel Bryan.
He's just like, now that things have settled down, I don't think anyone's going to be asking for toys anymore. Little girl, what would you like for Christmas? I want a new skirt. Have you ever heard of a sweatshop?
Exactly. Yes, dude.
God
yes.
Oh, yeah. So that's a good answer. So, yeah, Brian is definitely the interesting one. As well as the Fiend. And I only say the Fiend is interesting and not outright bad because he kind of has the build to be a Santa. And, like, I don't know, kids might just, if the beard and the hat and everything was on top of the Fiend mask, I don't know, the kids might kind of take to it as, like, a creepy clown. I don't know, kids these days are fucking weird, man. They don't get scared as easily as they used to, so I don't want to say
that's objectively true. That's objectively true.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, they might just go along with it. I don't know.
I can just picture the Fiend being like, oh, now remember, if you want your presents, let me in.
Yes.
Yeah, Fiend was a great pick by you. I think Brian was my best choice on my end. I feel good about that question. Are you ready to wrap this up?
All right, that's it. That's all of them. That's the Q.
Man, this Q&A felt so fucking easy, like Sunday morning. God damn.
Oh, we had 51 questions, so it's not like it was like an overly light workload either. You just got through.
No.
Well,
let me tell you what happened, friend. We owned fucking face.
Maybe it's because there were so many questions about Dark Side of the Ring that we had just like skip over because we don't watch it.
Oh God, never has unproductivity. I know that's not a word, but fuck it, it's our podcast. It's never just felt so good. So yeah, guys, I'm just gonna let you all know, happy little trees and all that. And our next Q&A, number 41, is gonna be May 28th. So get your questions in. And now I'm gonna say,
4
because
weeks.
it is 4 weeks, if you haven't, do consider donating just $1 to the Patreon, $3 for Discord access, so you can submit your Q&A questions via Discord. So you'll get 5 Q&A questions for the month of May. I think that'd be really cool. If you're a non-Patreon donor, you only get 3. YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Discord, best way to submit your questions. When we get done here, I am going to unpin my pinned tweet. I'm going to update it for Q&A number 41. And you guys could just reply there. I know some people have taken to DMing me. That's fine. That's just on me to remember. That's why I like the pinned tweet, though, because it's just all right there. And yeah, we'll see you guys, at least for next Q&A, May 28th. When are we seeing them again in general, though, Ashton?
Well, we will be seeing them all on Tuesday for Survivor Series 2003 live reactions. That'll be interesting. It'll be at 4 p.m. Eastern Time.
Okay, so Tuesday at 4 for Survivor Series 03. As I like to say on my end before I hand it over to Ashton, love you guys. Like the video, subscribe, click the bell icon for notifications so you keep getting that TWitWoW goodness. And please just keep staying safe out there and keep doing the best you can. And we're happy that you invite us all into your quarantine experience and make it a bit easier for you. So,
God,
Ashton,
you sounded like such a news anchor or like a weatherman there closing out. Gee.
Thanks. All right, it's on you, bud.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we hope you all enjoyed our Q&A. Remember to like the video, as John said. Click the bell icon to join the notification squad. Follow us on Twitter and on Twitch. You can also click the bell icon over on Twitch to get notified there. And if you would like to support the channel, you can subscribe on Twitch, as well as buying our merch on Teespring, donating to the Patreon. John already kind of went over the perks there. And sharing this channel and this video with all your wrestling fan friends and letting them in on the best kept secret in the YouTube and Twitch wrestling communities. That's right, we are TWitWoW, and we are the workhorses of the Y and TWCs, and we will continue to prove those monikers true as long as we possibly can, as long as wrestling content is available for us to talk about. Tuesday, we will be live reacting to Survivor Series 2003. That is a request from the Chiefin. Wednesday night, we've got NXT and what feels like a takeover level show for NXT. Thursday, again, same time as Tuesday, 4 p.m. Eastern Time, we will be live reacting to Dominion 2016. And then Friday, we will be live reacting to the last few matches of King of Pro Wrestling 2013. So we've got 4 straight days of content coming at your faces starting on Tuesday. We hope that you're all looking forward to that. And most importantly, we hope that you're all able to remember to stay tuned.